Worked out good. For my list, before we go back, Journey for me, I saw them multiple times, never with the original cast, though. How many times they played the amphitheater with the guy they got off of YouTube?
It seemed like it was every year. It seemed like,
fantastic. Always a great time. Dave Matthews Band, Maggie and I were broke up for about 5 days. That was her favorite band. And I had, I think it was row 2 dead center seats. And I ended up taking somebody else because we were broke up for 5 days. We got back together midweek, but I did not take her to the concert.
That's how I got
another girl there?
No, I was a different guy. But
that's how I got Olympics tickets. A buddy of mine was dating a girl, and he broke up with her, so I got her ticket. And they ended up getting married.
Motley Crue multiple times out there.
Yeah, I've seen Motley Crue out there.
Fantastic. Jimmy Buffett used to come. God rest his soul.
I hate to admit it. I saw Jimmy Buffett out there.
I would go almost every time he came to the amphitheater. It was always a great time there. And then Hootie and the Blowfish played there. I can't remember if I saw him at City Stages and then Amphitheater, or Amphitheater and then City Stages, but they played there right when they were big.
Boy, you have been highly critical of them, so it's interesting. So you saw them after Crack Rearview Mirror.
How have I been highly critical of them?
It is literally a phrase you use. They're Fairweather Johnson.
I know you dog him out for doing things multiple times, but you probably said it on
you say that all the time. This can't be their Fairweather Johnson. You have used that reference for 15 years.
Well, it's the reference I use when somebody can't back up a good season.
I would say that's being highly critical of Hootie and the Blowfish.
But that is very subjective that was a good season.
No, their first album was
Crack Rearview Mirror was fantastic.
Garbage.
Yeah. Oh, it's garbage? No,
in my opinion. I mean, look, we're all different musical tastes.
Let Her Cry?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Let Her Cry, LT. That's a one. You only saw 2. What 2 did you see, Tyler?
So the first one I saw at Oak Mountain was the first concert I ever went to. It was, I want to say, 2014. It was Motley Crue and Alice Cooper on the farewell tour.
We were there together. How about that? Paths cross.
Yep.
Cross streams.
How old were you in 2014?
I was 14 or 15 at the time.
I thought you were going to say 8 or 9. I probably looked at my buddies and like, how do those parents bring that 8-year-old to this Motley Crue concert? But you were 14.
Yep, we had we found a coupon online, and the ticket was like $15.
Was that the old Groupon things?
Yes.
Was that the one where the drum set did a circle? Did you?
I can't remember if they had that or not.
Yeah, one of them, Tommy Lee's drum set was like on a roller coaster track, and he would go upside down while he was drumming.
And then the second concert I went to at Oak Mountain was a couple months after that. Blink-182 played there, but it was not the original lineup. It was Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio singing because Tom DeLonge was still out looking for aliens. He found them, and now he's back in the band.
Okay, good. Glad he found them.
Forrester, what about you, man?
Okay, so second show I ever saw, first show I ever saw was actually our buddy's brother Kane opening up for Van Halen.
Oh, how about that?
Wow.
That was not
good
at
show.
Oak Mountain. That was at BJCC. But the second show I ever saw, Dave Matthews Band and Ben Harper. I love Ben Harper still to this day. Great show. Then 311 and Fishbone.
What year was Dave Matthews?
That was September 9th, 1996.
Okay, that's the concert then.
Dave Matthews Band.
What is it? The concert?
The one that's on my list.
Oh, that same one.
Yeah, did you see a sad Dunaway on row 2?
Yeah, very
I
happy
don't recall
Dunaway.
seeing,
A whole
Sad
row of
Dunaway.
girls.
Next Round merch that you've been eyeing. We know there's a lot to choose from at nextround.store, so here's a few of our favorite picks. If you want to match LT and Brown, go with the TNR logo hoodie and throw in one of Dunaway's favorite hats. Any of them will do. The Backrooms go-to is the classic logo t-shirt, while my personal favorite is the light blue TNR crew neck. All of these items can be found at nextround.store and are EG approved. Rest assured, your order will be packed with lots of love from us here at the Next Round. Head over to nextround.store to start filling up your cart.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com. Take the Next Round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store. Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Was there an old song that was like Money, Money, Money or something like that back in the
Money,
day?
money, money.
Yeah, who was that? Anybody know?
Okay, so Pink Floyd had a money song, but I don't know who did the money, money, money.
Yeah. Anyway, that's college football. Money, money, money on different fronts. We'll talk that later on.
I thought you were saying the advice you gave out last night on the Celtics.
Well, we're going to get to that. That's the biggest story out there. Money, money, money in college football. I've got some overreactions I'll run by LT deeper into the show, but sometimes, we're not always an NBA show. We rarely lead with the NBA.
But we are seeing historic strangeness. I really don't know how to put it. Our friend from Greg from Pell City reached out to me last night, and he was like, what is going on? I brought it up yesterday when I told you about my buddy Dustin, was like, the NBA's drunk. I have never seen anything like this. And it's not just the fact that home teams are losing in this round of the postseason, games 1 and 2. But the way they're losing to blow these enormous leads. And look, and if you're an NBA fan, no lead is necessarily safe. But when you're the higher seed, when you're the defending world champion Boston Celtics, and you have a 20-point lead with 14 minutes to go at home, those are games you don't lose.
Yeah. Take a look at the reaction from our fan base. We're not the biggest NBA basketball city, but even our fan base on social media last night, Chris, this has to rank as one of the worst landmines from Jim Dunaway in the history. You see it 73-53, 3:12 to go in the third, and then the Knicks come back to win. We'll debate that in a second. As you look at other reaction coming in, you got Kumar who says Jimmy Landmine is back, baby. You have Joe saying peak Jimmy Landmine tonight, but who cares? Go Knicks, Jim. And then Jake says, I sure hope you didn't bet everything on the Celtics, like you said on the show earlier today.
Did you unload?
I did not. I did not bet the game. I got tied up doing some stuff, but I thought that was the easiest play ever on the board. There was no way Boston was going to do this again. And I'm not a passionate Knicks fan, but if you followed us on radio, I adopted the Knicks way back when because I didn't have an NBA team. Tampa doesn't have an NBA team. I don't like the Orlando Magic. So I said, man, it would be cool to ride the Knicks from bad to up to when they win a championship. So I'm invested in the Knicks. I'll put it that way.
So have you watched the game yet?
I watched both of these.
Okay.
And I catch them. I usually catch them right when they're 20 down.
Okay.
And on the comeback.
About to say, you've got to be all in. Now, I think everybody's all in. That's the fun thing. I didn't think the series would be competitive. I really didn't. I think most people didn't think it would be competitive.
You thought it may be a sweep.
I thought it was going to be a sweep. I really did. And now I do find this interesting because I still think the Celtics are going to win this series.
Dude, I saw last night. I don't think the betting odds to win the series has changed.
They've changed. I can't find an adjusted series price right now.
I think I got one from BetMGM earlier today that still have the Celtics a minus 350 or something to win the series.
Yeah, see, I've got the adjusted price right now. Indiana minus 185 over the Cavs. Cavs coming back plus 155. With the Steph injury, the T-Wolves down 0-1 minus 210. Warriors coming back plus 170. I do think if you get the Celtics at a decent number, I would think down 0-2, you probably get them at plus 150 now.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good play.
I saw it. We get that email every day from BetMGM, and I thought it was still had the line not even moving, that the Celtics winning 4 straight.
I will go back and I will try to pull that in one of our emails.
But I would tell you the reason, and for our viewers out there, you say, okay, well, why is this a big deal? Well, we're watching the defending champs, right? Boston, have in back-to-back games 20-point leads, and they blow both of them to go down 2-0 to a rival for them, the New York Knicks. And they're doing this by doing something that is very familiar with Alabama basketball fans who love to shoot the three under the NATO system. That's a lot of the NBA now. And for Boston, they are now in these 2 games 25 of 100, easy math, 25% from 3. That's not a great number, and they keep shooting them is the surprising part.
Well, no, they shot a lot less, though. And Joe Mazzulla, I know he's going to take heat for this because, this is part of the Knicks game is shooting the 3, and they've, lived by it instead of died by it. But you take 60 in game 1, you hit 15 of those. It was one of the worst shooting performances we've ever seen behind the arc in postseason history. And then you come back and you only shoot 40 of them. And they were just timid offensively in the fourth quarter. And Jason Tatum a 3-time first-team All-NBA guy,
Yes.
was awful. I mean, he was 5 of 19, couldn't buy a basket, but none of the Celtics could. It's like they got gun-shy, and I don't think there was anybody in that crowd, anybody at any sports bar, we were at Odie's last night doing trivia, that believed the Knicks were going to win that game until the game was over.
Yeah, when Tatum took the inbound pass and drove it the length of the court and dunked it, I was like, well, the Celtics going to win a close one here.
Oh, well, even on the final possession, like I thought Tatum would, he got tied up in the air, but I thought that the Celtics would convert there and they would walk out and, be fortunate to survive that game. But now down 0-2, I mean, everything's on the table now. And look, I mean, if you're just playing the percentages, we've got a Pacers-Knicks Eastern Conference final.
Yeah.
One of those two teams will be playing in the NBA Finals. I mean, that's pretty crazy when you think about it.
That would be fun to see the Knicks back in the NBA Finals. I don't know how good of a series it would be, but a lot of people still believe the Celtics end up winning this thing. Love to see what you think in the chat room.
I'm not going to pile on. I had the Celtics, too. I had both favorites. Now, the Thunder did exactly what I can't even say that. Didn't think that they would go out and win by 43.
No, but that's the way you thought the Celtics
Yeah, I thought both games would be kind of blowouts because everybody's talking about how incredible this postseason has been. And then you get, the game, how it unfolds, the first game, and then obviously the Thunder took care of business. I did think there was no way Celtics were losing game 2 at home.
It's historic, by the way. No team has ever blown 2 20-point leads in the NBA playoffs, and the Celtics have done it in back-to-back nights now.
At home.
Just insanity
with
there.
A much better roster. Celtics just 2 years ago were in this spot. They were down 0-3 to the Heat. They were unable to come out of that hole. They took it to 7 games. They ultimately lost the series. But I do think the Celtics, with this experience, they always say once road team grabs a game, it becomes a series. Now it's a series.
Yeah, 2-0.
The Knicks getting up 2-0.
You're back against the wall, and the historic numbers if they go down 3-0 in this series when they go back to Madison Square Garden. And I can't imagine when they crank that series up this weekend at MSG how insane that place will be.
Can you imagine what the ticket price did after the Game 2 loss?
That's right.
Yeah, for games 3 and 4
at MSG.
What the ticket price probably did, because there's a lot of Knicks fans. Hey, we're going to be able to get in, see the Knicks play in the second round of the postseason, but better get in there because that series probably doesn't make it back to Boston. But now with the Knicks favored to win this series, boy, that ticket price is probably through the roof.
We're going to get to some college football in just a second. As LT said, OKC blows out the Nuggets. Golden State, Minnesota, our only game tonight, 7:30 TNT in the NBA playoffs. Steph Curry is out at least a week, so they'll try to do it with Jimmy Butler this evening in the NBA playoffs. You can get all your plays right there at lanceslock.com, lanceslock.com. It is brought to you by our great friends at Hemp Hill. Tell us about Lance's Lock.
I will tell you, man, baseball, we have fallen apart. The wheels have come off, done away. Bad night in baseball. We split in the NBA. We try to bounce back tonight. Just the NBA playoffs have been so weird. But we will have that one game up and available with the T-Wolves and the Warriors tonight without Steph Curry. That number has been adjusted. Jump on board. Win with us, LancesLock.com. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. Any of those arise in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. And right now, $1,000 off the HVAC systems plus 0% financing. 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
And our friends at Bojangles, from sweet to heat, Bojangles has 7 sauces that will definitely add a little extra flavor to every bite for you, and nothing pairs better with their sauces at Bojangles than their hand-breaded tenders. They've been hand-breading stuff at Bojangles since 1977. So if you're looking for sweet, you can try the honey mustard or the tangy barbecue sauce there. They've got a jalapeno ranch. Head to Bojangles and order some hand-breaded tenders with your favorite sauce today. It is Bo time with our friends at Bojangles there. It is time for Nick Saban to be on the forefront of the college football world again. Ross Dellinger reporting last night that President Donald Trump is on the verge of putting together a presidential commission on college athletics that will be headed up by Nick Saban and Texas billionaire Cody Campbell, who's a Texas Tech booster. They're going to get together and look at the inner workings.
That's the guy, by the way.
That's the money guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he and Saban are going to get together and try to figure all this stuff out and on how it should all look. This comes as a $2.8 billion settlement with NIL and the thing that's going through Congress that's held up by a judge right now has hit a snag there. Nick Saban, this billionaire on a committee, there'll be others on that commission. What do you think comes of this? You think they get it done?
Do you think Joey McGuire, Texas Tech's football coach, is nervous? Like, hey, this billionaire's sitting down with Nick Saban, and he could say, hey, you know what? For $25 million, just come back for I'll give you $25 million a year for 2 or 3 years, just to win us a championship.
Just win us one.
That's all we want.
Just win us one.
I don't know what comes out of this. It is amazing that you've got so many things going on in our world right now, and Trump trying to repopulate Alcatraz and now getting into college football. If something is going to happen, and I think we all agree something does need to happen,
right?
Because there's way too much leeway. There's really not the compass that everybody needs to figure out the guardrails to keep this thing in check. And if you've got a billionaire that obviously is a pretty solid businessman, and then you get Nick Saban, who knows the game inside and outside, I mean, that's a starting point.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with how powerful presidential commissions are and how much change they lead to. I know we do. There's a C-SPAN and a C-SPAN 2, and I don't know if there's a C-SPAN Ocho out there like there is with ESPN, but there's a lot of committees that meet in D.C., so much of them that we know the red tape and all the stuff that goes on with politics. I hope something can come of it. We're all looking for guardrails on how it all changes in the future, and I appreciate the president and Nick Saban and this billionaire giving their time trying to fix college athletics.
I'm sure there's some politicians that are like, oh, my God, what a waste of time, college athletics. But this shows you how massive, when you talk about money, how big this sport has become.
Well, but it's also draining the pockets of a lot of wealthy businessmen. You know what I'm saying? I think if I'm having to give...
It is, but on the flip side, you could be like, okay, you don't have to do it. Now, look, if you don't do it, then your team's not going to be able to compete for championships, and there, in fact, is the rub, but you don't have to give.
You don't, but, oftentimes millionaire, billionaire alumni are addicted to their college team winning. They have since the beginning of time, so they love to give money back, and if I'm having to give $2 million a year to the NIL, then that's $2 million I'm not... creating jobs with, maybe.
Nick Saban is a very calculated guy, very intelligent. Do you think he's already got a plan formulated? Like, at least the rough draft of what it would look like? Because I really don't know what the answer is outside of the fact that we've talked about make these guys employees, have a union, basically do exactly what the NFL has done.
I don't know if he has a plan yet. I know probably has a way he thinks it should work, but how to make it work, I don't know, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out. And truthfully, it bores me. I just want it fixed.
Yeah,
I don't care about the money. It's the constant player movement that I don't understand how, Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze and Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian can do their job anymore.
Well, I don't see that. And when you see a guy leave Alabama to go to Syracuse, it's not about the opportunity to win a championship, it's a money grab.
Yeah.
So I do think that the core, I don't want to call it the core value of what college football was all about. Things have changed, though. I mean, obviously a lot, and you're just not going to have a guy that is going to go to university for 3 years and be rah-rah.
Before we get to some stuff that is going on the field in college football, I did want to show you something that actually happened on the field this week of a college football program. We all understand the tradition of music in college football. And Enter Sandman at Lane Stadium at Virginia Tech is one of those special moments when they're playing Metallica and the team runs out and the stadium's going crazy at the beginning of a Virginia Tech game. Now imagine Metallica playing a concert at Lane Stadium.
It just happened.
It just happened, and it looked like this. Look at the insanity there. Lane Stadium like you've never seen it before. In the stands is the way it looks, but with the Metallica light show on the field there and then all the fans down there jumping around to Enter Sandman, That is a moment.
Oh, look, one of my favorite bands of all time. They were in Nashville last Thursday and Saturday. Was trying to go up Saturday. I'm going to Atlanta. I think it's June 2nd.
To see them.
It's a Tuesday night show. Yeah, we saw them in Chicago back in August. But, they've got, obviously their catalog is so deep now. They're playing these dual city dates. And so they've got completely different playlists for each of the nights. But when they go to Lane Stadium, they got to make sure they play Enter Sandman.
Yeah. So I wouldn't get Enter Sandman on both nights if I saw them both nights.
Well, I would assume they're only playing Lane Stadium one night. I think that's a one-off. They're playing the major cities, the Chicagos, the Bostons.
Yeah, but like they did 2 shows in Nashville, so if I went to the wrong show, I would not have gotten Enter Sandman.
Yeah, so we knew when we went, we actually did get Enter Sandman, but, it's not my favorite Metallica song. I like it a lot, but we knew what the playlist was going in.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool to get that at Lane Stadium. If they could do that one time live.
Yeah, I'm sure. But now Virginia Tech would lose the game.
Yeah, truthfully, and I didn't see this, Forrester. Can I get Forrester's microphone? If it would have been a recruiting moment for me, I would have worked it with Metallica to where I think during that song, I would have suited up the team and run them onto the field. What about you?
I was kind of expecting it, actually. I figured there'd be some kind of moment like that.
I would have suited them up and ran them onto the field. I know the fans were down there, but I would have made a tunnel and just for that video, I would have run them on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for the video. Now, obviously James Hetfield is one of these. Him and Lars Ulrich are like complete
control freaks.
Oh, control freaks, yep. Next level. So you just wonder if they were like, I don't know if we want to get involved with this. I don't know.
I don't know.
So they always do a local song too. You know what they did Thursday night in Nashville?
Oh no! What?
They did Jolene.
That's their local song?
Well, it was the Dolly Parton. I would love to see the version. I didn't see it. I just know it was on their playlist.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go listen to that.
Yeah. A jamming, hard driving Jolene.
They sometimes, man, they'll bring out the stool and they'll just do a little acoustic too. That's probably the way they did it.
All right. I thought it was an unbelievable scene there. Our buddy John Willard, shared friend LT and I, he's a Virginia Tech guy. He sent me a video. I couldn't tell whether he was there or not for the Lane Stadium event.
I think him and Sisler did tell me that they were planning on going up to that at one point. Now, whether or not they did, I'm not sure because I think Sisler's a Metallica fan.
I think she is too. I think she is too, and I know John's a big Virginia Tech fan, so he's the one that sent me the video.
Bigger question: Where is Virginia Tech football? Where does it go?
Oh,
because my whole thing would be Syracuse won 10 games last year.
Yep.
SMU in year one goes to a college football playoff. Virginia Tech's got, and this is more recent. This is more in our years. But for a good solid quarter of a century, that was a proud program.
Well, if you look at like Taylor's working on a graphic now. Last time each SEC team had 10 wins. Vandy's never had it, but it's recent for just about everybody, relatively speaking.
You're talking about at least one 10-win season.
At least one 10-win season.
So there was a time Frank Beamer, he had the longest 10-win streak in college football going. I think it was 7 or 8 consecutive years that they had won double-digit games. And this is back before you had the extension, and you didn't necessarily play as many games. I'm trying to look. Oh, my gosh. It's been a decade. It's been 2016. So
since 2016, since the Hokies have won 10 games.
Yeah, and going back, let me see if I was right here. So from 14 through 21, they won at least 10 games. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive years.
Okay, I'm just going to write down blind who's in ACC that's in better shape than Virginia Tech football right now. Clemson, obviously.
Yeah, Miami,
I wrote down.
I still go Florida State.
I still put Florida State. I thought you may push back there, but that's a one-off.
SMU.
SMU, sadly. SMU.
North Carolina.
I put North Carolina down.
I think Pittsburgh. I know that sounds crazy. Pittsburgh's kind of up and down.
It's a roller coaster, but they're in a better place than Virginia Tech.
I think Pittsburgh is in a better place. I would say...
would you even say Syracuse?
I would say Syracuse right at the moment. I think Georgia Tech at the moment. I think Duke at the moment. The ones I would say for sure aren't are Cal, Stanford, very new.
Right.
Virginia, Boston College, and NC State. Louisville definitely is.
Ooh, NC State, no.
No, NC State, no. Yeah, what am I saying? NC State's in a better spot.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So the only ones for
Wake
sure.
Forest, no.
Yeah. I would say Stanford, Cal, Virginia, Wake, and BC.
Yeah. And that's sad for Virginia Tech football. I mean, that's a proud – it wasn't before Frank Beamer, but that turned into a very proud program and for them to be where they are.
I mean, going back to the Big East, that Virginia Tech-Miami matchup in the early 2000s was just must-see football. And it was always interesting because as good as Virginia Tech was, and if you're a youngster out there, you won't remember this, they were in the top 10 every year. And they played so many Thursday night games, which baffled me, but they always had great atmosphere at those games at Lane Stadium.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a sports entity that was that had its heyday at an odd time. I think Big Monday was really big for the Big East when they were launching their basketball on ESPN. But Virginia Tech Thursday night football, that was something special. I think Boise State, when they were playing late night at home on the blue turf, when they didn't have a lot of games around them, I think that helped their product a little bit.
Yeah, I think they embrace it. I think those communities get used to it.
Right.
If you're throwing a Thursday night game in Tuscaloosa or Auburn, I don't know how many people they're going to get behind it, but they're not going to love it. It's going to throw everything out of whack, but it's almost like it became a routine on those Thursday nights. All the students bought in.
It's been 35 years, and I still have to think, Notre Dame's playing on NBC. I still have to remember to turn on NBC for Notre Dame when they're playing a home game just to have them on one of my screens, and that's been 35 years. I've never gotten used to that, but I was always used to watching the blue turf late night or watching Virginia Tech on Thursday night, and I thought that was a cool part of their identity. I don't understand why the ACC got away from having that Thursday night game.
Well, and it's it's a little over 25 years now, but they played for a national championship.
They did.
And they looked really good in the first half with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Vick in today's game, by the way?
Would be fantastic. There's been, not as good as Michael Vick, but I think you've had a lot of Michael Vick-esque players.
Yeah, I don't know if, Cam Newton's one of those guys, Tim Tebow's one of those guys, Manziel was one of those guys, but he was a handful of guys, and watching him in today's wide-open offenses, would love to see him.
I think Cam Newton, for his year at Auburn, I think he was every bit that Michael Vick was for Virginia Tech.
I think the difference might have been just how physically dominating he was. But Michael Vick was one of those guys that was like Cam was a freak of nature too. But Michael Vick just able to turn on a dime, do so many different things. Seemed like a much better passer at the college level than he was at the NFL.
I agree with that. We'll say goodbye to a really a big part of the next round, college football-wise, coming up after I tell you about our friends at Lake Fest. By the way, Brownie off today, vacation off tomorrow, off Monday, back with us next Tuesday when we start our 40 and 40 countdown. LT and I have you covered until then. Lake Fest is happening starting tomorrow, right? It's happening this weekend. It's the 15th annual Logan Martin Lake Fest and Boat Show presented by our friends at Am First, May 9th through the 11th. On Logan Martin Lake in Pell City, and it's totally free to the public. I don't know if I've said that enough. Totally free to the public. It's Bama's biggest in-water boat show. 80 boats and vehicles on display. You can actually test drive the boats there, which is the best way to buy a boat, right? If you're landlocked, you hop in the boat and you sort of play like you're the captain. You actually get to take the boat out on the water here, test drive that thing. Lake lifestyle, vendors, and food trucks and beer garden, and of course live music all weekend. Tons of giveaway, and for the first time in the history of Lake Fest, Am First is actually offering a 0.5% off interest rates, which would save you $100 a month, maybe $12,000 over the life of the loan. All right there at Lake Fest, presented by Am First, going on at Logan Martin, the big boat show in water happening this weekend.
Didn't you and Brown have a boat together? Did I dream that? Was that not part of a radio deal way back in the day?
It was part of a boat read we used to do, and Al Del Greco, Brownie, and me had access to a boat.
It was almost like a timeshare, right, that you didn't have to pay for.
That's right. Anytime we wanted it, we'd just check it out, almost like a book at the library.
And Jeeves, how many times do you think they checked it out?
Twice.
Never.
Never. Okay.
Yeah. We had used to a pontoon boat on
Lay Lake?
I think it was Logan
or Mitchell.
Lay. It was Logan or Lay,
Okay.
one of these close by. And I don't know if Del Greco ever did it, but Brown and I never checked it out because I don't know how it is now, but back then you had to pass the boat exam on the website.
I think you can do it blindfolded.
No, a lot harder. I remember griping about it, that it was a lot harder than the driving exam. I was like, how can the boat exam be harder than the driving?
But how would you know that?
exam?
Like, do you never have to take the driving exam again, do you?
I know, but I passed it. I mean,
When did you have to take the boating test? Because I had to take a written portion of the boating test in driver's ed when I was like 15, and I've got a boating license now, and I've never driven a boat.
And you still have it?
Yeah, it's attached to my my driver's license.
Hey, that's
Do I have it?
I would assume so.
No,
I think it's like,
I think you've got to get an additional boating license.
Yeah, I think it changed. I, too, thought if I had a driver's license, I should be allowed to drive a boat.
No.
That is not the case.
But I think what Jeeves is saying, I think there's a lot of people that had to take that test. I think it's a little different from when we took the test.
Yeah.
But that's why you see so many people that will be down on the coast or at a lake renting boats, don't even know how to drive boats.
Yeah.
Don't know boating etiquette.
That's the last time I looked at it. I was going to rent a boat one weekend. And I've got a friend who's will allow me to use his boat anytime I want.
Do you have backlogged hours on this thing? You think we could still call on it?
The one from the read? I don't think they'd let us have it now. But I got a friend who said I could take his boat out anytime I want. Every time I start to take the test, I get confused on which side of the thing I'm supposed to drive on. What does that little thing on the big stick in the water mean? What are they even called?
I love your
pylons. Nope.
I love your friend saying you can take it out at any time, but he never asked the question, do you actually know how to drive a boat?
Yeah, they just assume I'm a grown man that I know how to drive a boat, that I'm the captain now, but that is not the case. I don't understand the little red squares and blue squares and yellow squares, all the stuff that's on the water.
I sit back and I let other people drive me.
And that's been my history. It's been my history.
I was supposed to go this weekend, and the high down on Lake Martin is 70 degrees on Saturday and 85% chance of rain.
Like, I understand no wake zones. I understand that, okay? Oh, slow it down, and you cruise, you wave at people. I understand that. But open water, I don't understand it.
Well, you got to go with the traffic. You can't go across it.
Right.
You got to always be looking out for people on the water.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it's common sense.
I think so, too.
Yeah, because I can sit in the back of the boat.
Don't cross behind a boat that's towing a wakeboarder.
That's right. Don't cut the line.
But, I mean, you can look out at somebody coming in the way they're, and you can tell, like, common sense, they're not supposed to be doing this.
That's right.
Or they are supposed to be doing that.
And to me, I would always, because I'm an American, if I'm coming head on with a boat, I'm going to go a little this way, let him go a little that way, and we pass that way, right? Because that's the way I would do it on a one-way road or on a one-lane road. I don't know. I feel like I'd be safe on the water because I'm not a take-your-chance kind of guy. I'd probably drive really slow. When Taylor and I go to basketball games, it drives her crazy because she's a aggressive fast driver, and I am a 10-2 speed limit kind of guy.
Oh, by the way, I got somebody that's more aggressive behind the wheel than Brown. Aaron Suttles.
Suttles is?
Oh, my God. I didn't say anything because, he drove me up to Nashville, and I'm sitting there.
Well, I think Taylor is in Brown's category.
Suttles a little in front of Brown. Brown's one of he will ride the ass, but Suttles was doing stuff that was crazy. Like, I'm talking going like 90 in the fast lane and, was going in and out. And, like, it felt like we were scraping paint with, like, 18-wheelers and other cars going 90, 95 miles an hour. And I was really getting nervous, but I just didn't say anything.
True or not, when you're in the car with other guys, you feel like you have to drive a little bit more aggressive. You have to maintain your speed a little bit better than when you're by yourself. Because when you're by yourself, depending on the song that's playing, I can drift into, sometimes I'll just drift into the right lane and cruise down the interstate
Yeah.
at 75 miles an hour. But if I got guys in the car, I'm in the left lane hitting 85.
My car, my style,
Yeah.
but your car, I'm going to let you do what you do.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, man, I didn't think anybody could make me more nervous than Brown, and Aaron Suttles did it.
Yeah.
And I didn't say a word. He probably doesn't even know this, and it might get back to him.
Oh, it'll get back to him. In fact, it'll probably be cut up. Taylor will tag him on it at Next Round Live on social media, at Next Round Live on social media. When we come back, we say goodbye to a big part of our college football coverage since we started this platform. And we'll talk about some other big sports moments going on in college football today. And I've got a nice little overreaction or not list to ask LT about as we move throughout the show today, that is being brought to you by our friends at Way to Wellness. I stopped by and saw Leslie yesterday. Picked up some more protein bars. Man, there's a new one that she has that has caramel and peanut butter together and chocolate. It is absolutely delicious, and it's really chewy. So, with those protein bars, if it lasts longer, it feels like it's filling you up a little bit more. It's a delicious bar. Aplanforme.com. Aplanforme.com is the website there with Way to Wellness. Jumpstart your weight loss. Other ways of doing it other than just a protein bars, you got injection therapy, meal replacements, and a variety of other things. You can see all of that on the website at planforme.com, and she'll give you a free consultation. No contracts, no sign-up fees. And that first consultation is free with Leslie and her board-certified team. Go check them out, Way to Wellness, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Call the Next Round now at 205-734-0923.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Hey friends, if you're looking to expand your business and inform the Next Round audience about your exciting brand, contact us at sales@nextroundlive.com to be part of the team and advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential consumers on our ever-expanding platform. Let the Next Round help take your business to the next level. Get more information by emailing us at sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to build a plan to take your business to the next level with the Next Round.
Since you listened to my last message so well and got rid of those cargo shorts and stained t-shirts, it's time to replace them with Rhoback. Go to Rhoback.com and click on the Refresh collection to find all that you need for an EG-approved wardrobe. It includes pieces that will have you ready to hit the golf course after a busy day of meetings, or comfy favorites for travel and working from home. Get 20% off using code TNR20. See, I'm saving you some money.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
If you're looking to expand business and inform the Next Round audience about your exciting brand, contact us. Send an email to sales@nextroundlive.com to be a part of the team and advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platform. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, and reach the most desirable audience for your business. Get information and more by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to take your business to the next level with the next round.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Before LT tells us about Michelson and we get to the viewing menu, that murder trial for Michael Davis has started in Tuscaloosa. If you're not familiar with the name, that takes you back to January 14th, 2023, when Jamea Harris was shot in an incident that involved Alabama basketball back then. At least Darius Miles, who was also one of those accused in the capital murder case. Death penalty.
He's still incarcerated in Tuscaloosa, right?
That's right. Death penalty is off the table, but the trial for Michael Davis, one of the defendants in the case, started. Jaden Bradley, who now plays at Arizona, testified yesterday for 45 minutes. He was on the stand. And Brandon Miller and Nick Pringle, former Alabama players, are on the list to come and testify maybe this week or into next week. I know Brandon Miller has reached a civil settlement with Jamea Harris's family. So that is still going on in the process over in Tuscaloosa, January 14th, 2023, different time in Alabama basketball back in that.
Do you have any idea, like Jaden Bradley, from New York, playing at Arizona, does the state fly him back, I guess? It's on the state's dime. It's got to be, right?
I don't know how that works. I would imagine.
I mean, if you want to have a cooperative witness, I would think you got to pay the freight.
Because he was testifying, called by the state to come back and testify, not from the defendant. So I guess that the state pays for that. I watch a lot of law shows on Netflix. They never get into the details of how they fly those folks back in. But I guess they put them up in hotels, so I guess so.
I would assume, they're saying that Brandon Miller could be called. I would think, with it, at least, again, I don't know all the details. We know some of the details. You would think that he would have to testify, right?
If he's on the list, I know that. That's all I know about
Nick
the
Pringle,
case.
Brandon Miller.
Yeah, that's what I was saying there, that those guys, former players and a manager, will all be called before it's said and done, or at least they have the option to be called. All right, Michelson Laser Vision brings you the viewing menu every day. Tyler has that for us. Tell us about Michelson.
Yeah, 205-969-8100. That is the number you need to call. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. You have zero to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. 205-969-8100. I had the 2200 vision after the procedure. 2015 vision better than 2020. 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com.
So this week and this upcoming weekend is kind of slow as far as the theatrical side. That's going to start heating up later this month and going into the summer. But tonight you got a new movie with Josh Hartnett called Fight or Flight. A mercenary takes on the job of tracking a high-value asset known only as the Ghost on an international flight. Realizing the plane is filled with assassins assigned to kill them both, the pair must work together in a fight for their lives. It kind of looks like if you ordered Bullet Train off of Temu.
Okay, I did not like Bullet Train. I think I was in the minority there. Josh Hartnett was one of those guys back to the Black Hawk Down days, was doing a lot of stuff in the early 2000s, and he completely fell off the map.
Yep.
And then with, I think it was season 6 of Black Mirror was the first time I remember seeing him back.
Yeah, he popped up in that and then also in Trap, the M. Night film from last year.
Looked awful. Did you see it?
I did. I was really excited about it. The first half of the movie is great, and then once they get out of that concert setting, it just starts getting real wacky and real tough to follow or believe. But anyway, moving on, we've got another new movie. It was supposed to get released in theaters, but due to some stories around the production of the movie, it's getting very limited release, so you're going to have to buy it on demand, and that is Rust.
I saw it last weekend, and I watched the trailer. The movie's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, it's a long, long movie. It looks good. Now, here's the thing. Like, when I went to Rotten Tomatoes, it got like a 42 or something, the critic score. But how many critics can actually go in there with a biased opinion or unbiased opinion and watch the film without thinking about the tragedy?
Right. I think that's part of it, and then also it's a Western, and critics just don't typically like Westerns. Those have really fallen out of favor.
Do you remember the backstory on this, Dunaway?
I don't.
It's Alec Baldwin. It was the movie where the director of photography gets shot. I forgot why he was blamed, because he wasn't, didn't check the prop gun. I forgot exactly what the charge was in the scandal.
The firearms team, the armorer had brought live ammo onto the set, and they were doing target practice after shoots, which is a big no-no. You don't bring live ammo onto a set, and some of the live ammunition got mixed in with the prop rounds, and some people wanted Alec Baldwin to check before he shot, but he's not going to know the difference between a prop round and a real round, and also the only person supposed to check the guns is the armorer on set. So it's not Alec Baldwin's fault as an actor, but the conditions are his fault as the producer of the movie.
Yeah, so how did they even finish the shooting of this?
I don't know. I'd stopped following that story a while back. I think it was mostly done, and they probably just got a cinematographer to finish out. But if you have a morbid curiosity or you like Westerns, that's available on video on demand. And if you want some comfort food, you can go to FXM at 7 p.m. and watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie series made by Sony. And I think both of those films are absolutely fantastic. And if the third one delivers, it has the chance to be one of the best movie trilogies ever made.
Wow.
Oh.
Yep. I think it's one of those stories that will do well with people who don't like animation. You just see the level of work put into it and how well it's executed.
I saw the first one. I
respected.
thought it was very entertaining.
And that's all I got today.
That's what he's watching. That's our Michelson viewing menu. And the show also being brought to you by our buddy Alexander Shunnarah today. Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys, a national firm with southern roots right here, headquartered in Birmingham. For 24 years, the firm has grown to over 150 lawyers, supported by over 500 dedicated team members. Their elite trial lawyers have recovered over $2 billion by maintaining Alexander's core values of integrity, mastery, passion, and success. Alexander's mission was to create a firm that could handle any issue his community faced. The firm now handles not only any personal injury claim, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' comp, and a host of other claims. If you find yourself in need of a lawyer, call Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win your case right there. Goodbye to Cam Rising, officially retiring for medical reasons. Newberry Park High School. He's going to be the offensive coordinator there. He was always one of your favorites, LT, at Utah.
Well, just sad because when he was on the field, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And I think there is a correlation with, starting multiple quarterbacks last year for Kyle Whittingham and the fact that they went 5-7. And, that was one of it got really old week in, week out. He's probable. And he just never played. And, you go back to that Rose Bowl game where he goes out. He had played tremendous, and he was just such a good quarterback. I don't know what his prospects were for playing at the next level in the NFL, but Utah the last couple of years would have been so different. He still, with all of this time that allotted after the fact that he got hurt, he still appeared in 30 games and started 28.
Well, a couple of his injuries came in Rose Bowls, right?
Yep.
So it was the last game of the year, because I was going to ask you, which one of, if he had been able to stay healthy, would they have been a playoff contender or a championship contender one year? But in reality, he was healthy until the Rose Bowl, those two really good years with him. So I don't know if it really impacted the trajectory of Utah football. Maybe that final year, if he'd have been healthy, they'd have been a playoff contender. But I don't think his injuries ended up hurting the height that Kyle Whittingham in Utah eventually got
So
to.
just go back 2 years ago, and I know Lincoln Riley is, under the microscope right now for not living up to what a lot of people believed he would when he took this job. But if you go back to the 2023 season? I think that's right. No, 2022, where that incredible game, it was the same night that Tennessee beat Alabama in Knoxville.
Right.
Where Cam Rising, I think they won the game 40-39. Then the rematch and the Pac-12 championship game where if USC wins, they go to the college football playoff. Caleb Williams was dominating early, and then Cam Rising in the second half, they were just lights out, and they beat USC. He was first-team All-Pac-12 quarterback at that point.
Yeah.
I think people will forget how good he was.
Brew McCoy, a Tennessee receiver, never lived up to expectations. He was good. He wasn't great like he was projected to be, had injury problems. He, too, retiring from football because of injuries, and that's your injury news. Major story developing, at least for one basketball season, with Alabama basketball. Our friends at Yay Alabama, Forrest, are just sending this to me, reporting as we speak. Yay Alabama reporting that Alabama basketball is working on scheduling a game in Madison Square Garden against
Gonzaga.
St. John's.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it'll be a St. John's home game. That's where they play their big home games. And according to Yay Alabama, Alabama is working on scheduling a game at St. John's in Madison Square Garden in November. That'd be a huge game, continuing Nate Oates' tradition of scheduling up.
He's not afraid. I thought for a moment, look, and obviously the schedules are much different when we're talking about college basketball to college football. But, Nick Saban jumped in deep in early. Let's play these big out-of-conference matchups. And this has benefited Alabama basketball over the last few years, the way they've scheduled.
It has. And right now, Alabama, in their early projections by Joe Lunardi, has Alabama around a 6 seed. Auburn's around a 4 seed. We know Auburn upped their schedule last year with that team. And Stephen Pearl has hinted on air there's another one big announcement coming up for Auburn's schedule, a big game. Can't wait to hear what that is. But also, both Alabama and Auburn will be out in Vegas with all the elite teams in that NIL players tournament where the players actually get NIL money. That'll be a star-studded field for a couple of games in Vegas that Alabama was at last year. Bama's going back. Auburn's going to be out there. Both Alabama and Auburn play games against Purdue. Purdue, like St. John's, a Final Four projected team this year. So good scheduling news for the two biggest basketball programs in our state, Auburn and Alabama. That coming from Yay Alabama today, that Alabama working on a game with St. John's. On the flip side of that, LT, nobody was more disappointed with their NCAA tournament bids last year than the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC. They made a major change. We hinted this was going to happen a couple of weeks ago on the show, but the ACC has officially now cut their conference schedule from 20 ACC games back to 18. That mirrors what the SEC does, by the way. So they're going with 18 conference games instead of 20. What do you think the reason is?
I'll
help you out.
Yeah, help me out.
It's to get more teams in the NCAA tournament. They think that will help them with bids to the NCAA tournament.
What, because they're going to be playing lighter games out of conference?
Oh, or at least giving the ACC a chance not to beat up on each other.
So how does this work for Duke, North Carolina? Do we get it twice a year still?
You do. There's a pairing that you get that you're paired with, like Boston College and Notre Dame. You'll get them home and home. Duke and North Carolina are partners. You have a partner that you end up playing your home and home with. Everybody else, I think, is a one-off. Wow,
because NC State and North Carolina used to be a huge rivalry in basketball.
Yep.
And to only have that once a year is kind of weird.
Yeah. So that's news from the ACC as they work and try to, figure out a way to maybe manipulate the numbers. You can do that with great out-of-conference schedule and then your conference games. But the ACC felt like that 2 extra games, they were feasting upon themselves enough that they hurt a bid or two.
Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered this year. I mean, outside of Duke, Louisville, and Clemson, the league was pretty much garbage.
Yeah, I agree. And that hurts the good teams are going to win those 2 extra conference games and the bad teams are going to lose it. And I guess it was the bubble teams that they were trying to protect there. So that from the ACC. So 2 scheduling notes, the ACC cutting back conference games and Bama working on a game at St. John's at Madison Square Garden. One more thing to get to involving football in this segment, brought to you by our friends at Odie's, where last night LT and Brownie were at trivia, and the question was,
what came first, Under Armour or Mr. Beast?
That's 3 straight days for Mr. Beast on the show now.
Yeah. I didn't know who the guy was a year ago.
Under Armour or Mr. Beast? I picture Mr. Beast. Didn't you say he was like 28 yesterday?
27 yesterday.
27 yesterday. And to me, Under Armour was a 1998, 97. I'm going to say Under Armour came 1 year before Mr. Beast.
Under Armour, very close, 1996. Mr. Beast, 1998.
Okay, all right.
And Mr. Beast thing came up, and then somebody started talking about something I have never heard of in my life, geocaching.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that, is that not Coinbase? Isn't that?
No,
it's not. Okay.
It's like a scavenger hunt, basically.
But you can put coordinates in, you could go online right now. If I just heard about this for the first time ever hours ago.
Oh, wait. No, we talked about that. I think we had trash stories. Was it not geocaching that sent those people into the canyons and the mountains?
No, that was because they've got the documentary right now that I saw on Netflix. That was the dude that wrote the book, The Treasure Map.
Okay.
Now, but maybe that was a secondary story. I don't know. But explain geocaching, and it's become. Is it illegal in some places?
I don't know about that, but it's just like you put someone puts a prize somewhere and drops the coordinates, and you go find it.
But you can go online right now, Birmingham, Alabama, and there's geocaching available, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand this. I don't know what you get out of it. I'm like, why would somebody just leave $1,000 somewhere for some rando?
Yeah, I guess it's just the fun of watching.
I don't think anybody ever leaves like that. Like $1,000.
Have bodies been found?
Bodies have been found doing that. A group of teenagers, I want to say it was in Washington or Oregon, they went geocaching, and it took them to a pier at a dock, and they see a suitcase on the ground, and they're like, "Oh, we found the prize!" And then they open it up, and there's a body in there.
It's a body in a suitcase.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I had never heard of this though.
That's sort of. I know this is stupid, but when my son was little, the Pokemon craze, you could walk around and
Pokemon Go
and capture them.
Mm-hmm.
Was that sort of the same type of technology?
Yeah, so same idea.
Okay.
Did you ever do the geocaching?
No, I didn't. I was on vacation once, and there was a family that was talking to my parents, and they were super into geocaching. They bought their own dedicated GPS for it and everything.
I got to get out more, man. I had never heard of this.
You guys in the chat room reacting to the St. John game. Hollywood says Tide versus Patino will be fun. Morgan in Louisville, one of our great listeners who travels around to as many Alabama games, all the home games, says road trip time. Richard says Jimmy Uptown coming back in November. A couple of folks says Morgan and I should go to the game together for content at Madison Square Garden. Morgan says he's down for that. Alabama fans getting excited about that scheduled news that Alabama working on a game with Rick Pitino and St. John's. St. John's will be a top 4 team to start off the next year. We got a new franchise name. Utah finally settled. They're no longer the Utah Hockey Club. They made the announcement yesterday, LT. They are the Utah Mammoth. And they unveiled their jerseys right here, the Utah Mammoth.
Is this a woolly mammoth?
It is a woolly mammoth.
Is this why we're bringing them back?
Look at this.
Live mascot?
I mean, if Alabama had a hockey team, the colors would be different. Well, they do have a hockey team. But that's a mean-looking Big Al right there.
I just, that's kind of in that Nashville Predator look.
It is.
I just don't think that's a good look. It just looks cheap.
Yeah. They use the top of the Mammoth to make the Rockies.
That's a sneaky good sports town, by the way.
Salt Lake City?
Yep.
They're trying to get a baseball team.
Well, I went to a couple of games because my buddy was playing out there, so I went to the Salt Lake City Bees. Was their affiliate or was their nickname, and it's got the mountains behind it. It's a beautiful park.
I don't usually think about the mountains when I'm thinking about Salt Lake City. I think more about the lake than the mountains, but
it's more mountains.
Yeah, that's more of the backdrop there than the actual lake itself. What is it about Salt Lake? There's I can even though I'm not a good swimmer, I would float in Salt Lake because of so much salt, right?
Yes.
You can't drown in Salt Lake, is what you're telling me.
I don't know if it's that much salt.
I think
the
Dead Sea you can't.
Is,
you can't drown.
But I don't know.
But I've never been to
Salt Lake.
Yeah, like I think I'd always heard that there's so much salt in Salt Lake that even a non-swimmer like me could just lay back and float.
I didn't. I was in the middle of the summer. I should have gone to Salt Lake. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Forster says major missed opportunity not calling them the Yeti. He wanted.
I thought
the
it
Yeti.
was when you brought this up. I was like, I bet they went with Yeti. I didn't know they had
one of
gone
the finalists,
and it was the coolest name.
Yeah, the Utah Yeti.
I bet there was some kind of. Was there possibly a trademark issue with the cooler?
Yeah, that's what Blake is saying. Yeti coolers wouldn't let him call them the Yeti. Colton says it seems more like arena football than the NHL.
I would think,
Nashville uniform ripoffs. You nailed that one. A lot of people agreeing with you there.
I would think though Yeti that would even benefit their product. Not that they need any more money.
Yeah, it seems like they should have been able to work something out.
Well, you could collaborate with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the Salt Lake. You can still drown in Salt Lake City.
You can.
You can. It's not enough salt to keep you from completely sinking.
But the Dead Sea is?
The Dead Sea is. But it's very difficult to sink in Salt Lake.
See, Dunaway's not a big swimmer. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah. But okay, there's a lot of salt in the Gulf and the ocean, right?
Yeah, not enough to make the density more than the human body.
But the Dead Sea is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll see pictures of people just legitimately floating.
Yeah. Okay. So I need to go to the Dead Sea. Learn how to swim. It'd be a great place to learn to swim.
I guess so. It'd be like
and you don't have to worry about sharks.
Yeah.
That's
really?
true.
Yeah. Because of so much salt, right?
I.e. dead.
I.e. Dead Sea. Yeah. Read the Bible, Jim. All right. That gets us to the top of the hour. When we come back, I'll run through some overreaction concerns in college football with LT and get his reaction on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big topics I have written down. The show being brought to you by Storm Restoration Roofing. That's Greg from Pell City. We're in a rainy period here in May in our area. That includes some heavy thunderstorms. And Greg has all the tools, including a builder's license, to take care of any storm damage, not just on your roof, but anything at your house. But he's an expert at roof repairs as well. And he'll give you a free, no-cost roof inspection. He'll get up on your roof and check it out absolutely free if you call his cell number or text him at 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531. Call him or text him, and he'll give you that free, no-cost, no-obligation roof inspection. Look him up on Facebook, Greg from Pell City, locally owned over 20 years. He and his wife, Andrea, run the company. They own the company, and they are local. I can't say that enough because so many companies are not locally owned. They're not locally sourced, and oftentimes during storm season, they'll actually come across the borders and not always do the best jobs. They'll do it on the cheap, and that leaves you holding the bag because you can't find them anymore. That's not Storm Restoration Roofing. They're here all the time. Greg has deep roots in the community. He's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Trust him. He's been with us a long time. 205-542-3531 or Greg from Pell City on Facebook.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Hey, you. Days warming up, looking like spring. And at New Balance Birmingham, we've got the thing. What pops and what's fresh? Check the selects. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280, right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Think about the best summer nights of your life. How many of those were in a great t-shirt? Visit nextround.store to get the perfect t-shirt for the next perfect southern night. Nextround.store. The memories are waiting.
As we all know, there's no off season when it comes to college football. If you want to stay in the know with all things Alabama, join us over on covercrimson.com and get $25 off your annual subscription. We'll keep you up to date and give you exclusive content all the way to the first Saturday of football season on covercrimson.com.
All right, Auburn fans, I want you to become a member of thebarnauburn.com and join in on the fun. Whether it's recruiting discussions, off-season chatter, or the latest Auburn athletics news, we've got it all. Get $25 off your annual subscription when you sign up for your account at thebarnauburn.com today. War Eagle.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Okay, here's our New York Butcher fact of the day that I don't believe is true, but I've never been to Salt Lake City, so I'm going to take Brandon at his word for it. Brandon says he went to Salt Lake to Chili's there, and I was asked by the hostess, would I be drinking? And I said yes, and I had to sit in a closed-off section that only had 6 tables. It was almost like old-school smoking. But if I'm drinking alcohol at the Chili's in Salt Lake, they put me in a closed section away from the general population. He said it was smaller than the general pop, six tables. You went there.
I forgot exactly how it was. You had to, if you were getting a drink in a restaurant, you had to have food with it. You couldn't just have a drink. It is some of the most antiquated, over-the-top alcohol regulations that I've ever seen.
Well, they're saying that drinks can't be over 3.2% alcohol. Including the beers, that they have to be specially made.
I don't remember that, but this is when I was there. It was probably 2004, 2005, so 20 years ago. This is back before when Free the Hops had just come to Alabama, and we were trying to get what they called high gravity beers back then, because we had a regulation as well, and I think it might have been 4%. So that doesn't surprise me, and I forgot how they work the alcohol though, because obviously, certain liquors are 60% ABV.
Yeah, I don't know, but the chat room agreeing. I've been there and this and that. The alcohol was barely enough to move the needle for me, just having a couple of drinks at Chili's.
So funny, though, because, I was there on a Thursday night. Thursday night, very light. Friday, Saturdays, like everybody goes and lets their hair down. It's like, bars don't seem to be popular during the week, but Friday, Saturday, everybody gets it in.
Hey, the Pennant Grace today at 12:15, live version coming up with Josh and EG. Reds beat the Braves 4-3 last night. They play again tonight, 6:15. They'll react to that. Giancarlo Stanton and Clayton Kershaw, both for Yankees and Dodgers, working their way back to the big club. Stanton could be there to start June. Kershaw is going to do one more rehab start. Are both of those guys Hall of Famers? Kershaw, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Stanton?
Boy, I mean, he had, at one point, the biggest contract in Major League history.
He's hit enough home runs to be a Hall of Famer, I think, right?
I would say Stanton's in the mid-300s when it comes to home runs.
I thought he got 400. 400 would put you there, right?
Probably. We forget his Marlin days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would need to pull that.
Yeah, I'll check it there. But Kershaw, easy. Do you think the Dodgers?
No, he's first ballot. Well,
yeah.
if there's such a thing still.
But how many, he's coming back with this big club. You guys have so many pitchers and stars, but the injuries are there. Will he be able to make an impact on this Dodgers team?
Giancarlo, 429.
Yeah, I thought I saw him hit 400. So that's a Hall of Famer, right? 400?
I don't know. It used to be, 500 home runs, 300 wins. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this. If Clayton Kershaw would have been as dominant in the postseason he was in the regular season, the Dodgers would have probably 2 more world championships. But he might go down as one of the top 3-4 starting pitchers of all time.
Yeah, one of the best lefties of all time. Stanton and Kershaw making their way back. Reds beating the Braves last night. You've got a Pennant Grace live today at 12:15. We'll see what they chatted up today. By the way, the Dodgers beat the Marlins last night. They're the first team to 25 wins, even with all the injuries. The Mets in San Francisco, Mets and Giants have 24. Padres and Tigers have 23, but the Dodgers first to 25. That's just some of the stuff they'll talk about on the Pennant Grace today at 12:15. Number 8 Auburn, by the way, in baseball tonight, hosting South Carolina, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. If you've not been able to make it down to Plainsman Park to watch that great Auburn baseball team, you get them on ESPN2 tonight at 6 o'clock, weather permitting. All right, couple of sponsors, and then I'm going to tease LT's brain here with some football questions. Show being brought to you today by our friends at Hemphill. Eventually next week, my daughter tells me pool weather finally. She thinks we're into the 90s at some point next week.
Here's the problem. The pools have been cooled and tainted by all this cold weather.
Yeah, and a lot of rain.
Yeah, but look, the weather's going up and down. It's about to get really, really hot in Alabama. Everybody knows that. Whether you experience any plumbing, heating, or cooling issues or home or business, they are ready to serve you. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with this changing weather. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there, 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, UCA is there to help you guys with anything health-wise, prostate health, kidney stones, everything in between, vasectomies when you get to that point in life. Urology Centers of Alabama, 205-930-0920, 930-0920, urologycentersalabama.com. 16 locations, 35 urologists, and they'll help you with early detection and to stay on top of some very important monitoring things in your life that could actually save your life at one point. Just the best in the business. Find the location nearest you and save your life today. 205-930-0920, Urology Center, Alabama.
Can I ask you something random real quick, just because
Yes.
Stephen A. Smith is on the screen, and I heard this last night at Trivia. One of the questions was, Stephen A. is dipping his toe into acting. What is a primetime series? Not primetime, I forgot exactly the way it was worded, but I thought it was like General Hospital or Bold and Beautiful, because he was kind of a recurring guy on these soap operas.
He has before, hasn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about, Forster? With Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah, I remember. It's General Hospital he's been on, I believe.
Okay, so they'll show the clips on some of the ESPN programming, and everybody gets a good laugh. But the answer to the question is he started doing Law and Order. Did you know this?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I didn't know they were still making Law and Orders.
Well, I know they do the...
That's news to me, too, actually.
The SVU, I think, Special Victims Unit. So I guess that's the one he's on, but... That really surprised me. I get the soap opera angle, but
why is he? I mean,
he wants to be president.
Yeah,
he wants to act.
Well, I know he has political commentary now a lot on Fox and News Nation. I just he makes so much money with ESPN. I'd chill a little bit.
I would stay in my lane, but hey, whatever Stephen A. wants to do. I just thought it was really interesting if he in fact is doing Law and Order.
Yeah. Well, if that was something he wanted to do growing up, I mean, go ahead and scratch that itch. You know, I would, if I had a chance to be play-by-play voice of football or basketball somewhere, I would do it because that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid.
Yeah, but I think everybody kind of is all over the place. Like, you know, you want to play center field for the Dodgers. A lot of people want to be cops, firemen. But you find a really good gig, you just kind of stick with it, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. All right, here we go. I got some overreactions, concerns, wherever you want to go with this. I've seen Tim Brando, not that, you know, Timmy B always moves the needle with me with his hot takes, but he does a lot of Big Ten football play-by-play for Fox and FS1. I saw him say this. I've seen articles written about this. Overreaction to say the Big Ten has passed the SEC in college football success. Is the Big Ten now ahead of the SEC in college football?
It is a overreaction, in my opinion. Look, Big Ten is obviously the second best conference right now in college football. They are your defending national champions. They were the number one overall seed with Oregon. You know, Penn State had a really good season. You know, it's funny because, you know, Klatt had Penn State as his number one, way too early top 25, however he worded it. I just saw another top 25 on ESPN where they've got Penn State number one.
Yeah.
I just turned in my top 40. I don't have Penn State number one.
Yeah, I'm counting the votes as we speak. We start our 40 and 40 next Tuesday. There have been several of our viewers that have voted Penn State number one.
Wow. But, you know, Michigan wins the national championship 2 years ago. So you got back-to-back Big Ten champions. I'll tell you, if Penn State wins it this year, then yes, I will say the power is shifted.
Well, the belief is...
Or Oregon.
The belief is that the Big Ten, with their large alumni base, that in this day of NIL can outspend the SEC. That their businessmen and their larger alumni base can outspend the SEC, thus the turn in the power structure.
Okay,
of
how many
college football.
true players do you believe year in, year out do you have in the Big Ten? Like Illinois, Indiana, you know, the last couple of years, but they're not year in, year out, right?
No, you've got Ohio State. I always start there.
Michigan.
I'll always go Oregon. Michigan should be there every year.
Penn State.
Penn State should be there every year. And then after that,
I would go USC, though. Is that fair?
They should. They should be.
But I'm just saying that, like, they've got the money that they could spend with it. Those would be the five. Can you match those five in the SEC? And I think you can.
I don't know if you can. I mean, you can go Texas can spend as much as anybody.
Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and let's just say Florida, A&M. I mean, there's other angles you could go on this.
But my concern would be,
Oklahoma,
other than Texas and Texas A&M, can the SEC continue to spend at the rate, unless we get some kind of rules and controls with this presidential commission, can they continue to outspend or spend equally to the Big Ten?
Well, I know nothing about the Texas Tech billionaire that we were talking about a little bit ago until, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So you just wonder how many of these fan bases or how many alumni that you've got that have pockets like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is true the Big Ten alumni bases are much larger than the SEC alumni bases.
But doesn't it feel like the Big Ten doesn't care as much about football as the SEC?
They do. It's always felt that way.
Because they've always talked about academics first.
Overreaction or not here, with an explanation that Oregon is on the verge of taking over the Big Ten. That Oregon has come into the Big Ten and they are going to flex their muscle over time and become the top dog.
It's overreaction. We just don't see Oregon win championships. They won the Big Ten championship in year one last year. You know, they were 13-0 going into the postseason. They were the number one seed again, and then they got ran off the field. if Oregon was to win a national championship and plays, for a couple of national championships in the next couple of years, maybe you can talk about that. But until they win a real legitimate national championship, I don't know how you can say that. Again, the Big Ten is coming off back-to-back national champions with Michigan and Ohio State.
My perception is that despite Nike money, I don't think Oregon can outspend Ohio State.
Oh, I don't think so either. Well, I mean, if Phil Knight wanted to, yeah, they could. It was just a personal sample walking around Truist the other night. 70% of people were wearing Nikes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
the shoes?
The shoes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even looking at the other gear.
That's a large number.
No, it is. And I was just blown away. I mean, everywhere you look, it's nothing but Nikes. And, EG walked in here the other day and she had the Nike shorts on. Like, I don't even look at Nike gear. So I'm just looking at shoes.
Yeah.
70%.
Well, the multicolored discount rack golf shirt I bought the other day was a Nike. Had a Nike swoosh on it. And it was on the discount rack.
They got money.
They got some money there. Rusty says if Phil Knight cared really about football, Oregon could take over the Big Ten. AK, despite Nike money, Lanning still can't out-recruit DeBoer. That from AK there. And a lot of people are going back to the SEC conversation. The SEC has Alabama, Georgia, LSU national champions in the last 8 years, but that's just 3 teams that have sort of been handling that.
Okay, well, you've only got 2 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, 2 in recent years there.
Yeah.
Some of your comments there from the chat room. Overreaction or not, Ohio State winning the national championship. This is the beginning of the end for Sharon Moore at Michigan. Now, I know he's won.
A little premature, right?
That he's won the games in the rivalry, but has Ohio State now, with that national championship, can Sharon Moore keep up? How much much runway will they give him?
So I don't think he can, but he is 1-0. Let's not forget that. Again, they just won the national championship 2 years ago.
2-0 if you count the interim coach.
Yeah, and look, he was really handcuffed this year because he didn't have a quarterback. So he's got his quarterback now with Underwood coming in, and we'll see this guy for 3 full years if he stays healthy, and he should be tremendous. And this could be the guy that I don't want to say saves Sharon Moore, because coming off an 8-5 in year 1, I don't know how upset Michigan fans are, but if you're betting on a future, you're taking Ohio State over Michigan.
Oh, I am too. Yeah, 100%.
Like quarterback sight unseen. Well, I guess it's really on both. But I think you might even have bigger question marks. Well, you probably have bigger question marks for the true freshman starting, right?
Yeah. Next 5 years, more success, Oregon or Michigan?
Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's how you start losing your job if you're Sharon Moore.
Well, gun to head, I would go Ohio State, Oregon in that order, and then it becomes
a Penn State, Michigan
discussion. State, Michigan, or USC
discussion. Yeah. Notre Dame is so back, and they're not going anywhere.
I agree with that. It will be interesting to see if they get quarterback right this year after back-to-back years in the portal with experienced guys and Hartman and Riley Leonard last year. But you look around that defense, there were a lot of young players for Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman is just that charismatic guy. He is the it guy right now in college football. It's cool to play at Notre Dame. And I remember 10, 15 years ago, it didn't seem like that.
Texas will not miss the college football playoffs the next 5 years, the next 10 years. How far are you willing to go out? Texas will not miss the college football playoffs in the next...
I'll go 3 years.
Next 3 years.
Yeah. I feel really good about them getting there this year. It's just easy to say, but you look at teams like LSU that hasn't been there under Brian Kelly. You look at Alabama, didn't get there last year in a 12 team. Did you ever think, even with the transition from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer, that Alabama would miss a 12-team playoff?
I thought if Saban had stayed, that Alabama would never miss a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, they would have been there last year with Saban.
I think so, too.
Yeah, he's a difference in a game for sure.
Yeah, I just, you just don't know yet. I like everything Kalen DeBoer is doing. I just don't know how it's all going to shake out because of the NIL concerns.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's so much balance now. And, Josh Pate, who was on with us on Monday, was talking about it is, the new reality is one-possession games in college football. It's much like the NFL now. So a couple of bad breaks here and there, you lose that third game, that fourth game of the season, you're out.
We will get back to the SEC and some scheduling news that is pretty big coming up at the bottom of the hour. That's some overreactions from LT. We've got 4 downs today. Tyler's about to give that to us. But before he does, I want to give you our Bojangles Tinder moment of the day. I saw this story. Let me tell you about Bojangles Tenders first before I give you the Tinder moment. It is bow time right now, thanks to our Bojangles chicken tenders. Nothing is better than the crunch you get from your first bite of a Bo's chicken tender, except maybe the second bite. Bojangles' new, crispy, hand-breaded tenders are packed with flavor and perfect for dipping. Try the Carolina Legends' new crispy Bo's chicken tenders. It is bow time. There was a headline that at TMZ Sports, Aaron Donald gets a restraining order, and I wanted to ask you, how far do you have to stay away from Aaron Donald? I'm kidding. A restraining order for the great Aaron Donald. An alleged stalker there. Turns out it's a female who has been stalking him now, and the restraining order is 5 years. In fact, this female would even send I love yous to Aaron Donald on Zelle. A $5 gift from, we'll just call her Jane Doe, but you see her name there?
Yeah, Janelle Mitchell. I love you.
I love you.
I wonder if there's any backstory. I remember David Letterman. I wonder if Forrester was working for him when he had the stalker that actually showed up in his house. Tony Curry, when we were doing a show together, had a stalker.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Did you ever have one on the news?
No, before I was married, occasionally, I think twice I went to meet somebody who called me out of the blue. Not a blind date. I guess it was a blind date. I went to meet one girl at Oak Mountain State Park, and we made out a little bit.
That's a little ominous. You went to Oak Mountain State Park to meet a girl.
That's where she wanted to meet.
Wait, am I...
This was early 90s.
Am I on an island thinking this is extremely weird that she was like, let's meet at Oak Mountain State Park?
I wouldn't meet anybody at a state park.
You got to give me a little more context. In a parking lot?
There was a picnic table overlooking the lake there.
And you're a grown man, and she's asking you to meet her.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been late 20s or mid-20s, and this would have been 94 maybe.
And she says, "Hey, let's go to Oak Mountain State Park and make out."
Well, she called the station a couple times.
How well did you know her?
No, I didn't at all.
My gosh, this is especially back in the 90s. This is how you get rolled.
I wouldn't call
tied
her
up, dismembered.
You're lucky you didn't go missing.
I wouldn't call her a stalker, but I was able to, because she didn't know what vehicle I drove. I was able to drive by the meet point to.
Oh, yeah, because there's so many people going by the picnic table at Oak Mountain State Park.
But I'm saying I was able to drive by the meeting spot to eyeball her real quick to see what she looked like.
Was she standing or sitting?
She was sitting.
Sometimes, the sitting, you get that good face, but they've got that secretary behind the desk body.
Well, she did. I mean, she was not. She wasn't a 10. I mean, don't get me wrong, but neither am I.
I never doubted that when she's calling you up, telling you to randomly meet her at a state park.
But I mean, it was spring and summertime, so she had a swimsuit top on, sunning herself on top of the picnic table.
Wait, so you show up and all she's got on is shorts and a bikini top?
Shorts and a bikini top, yeah.
Laying on top of the picnic table?
Not laying, sitting.
Okay.
Sitting.
I mean, she was down for a doubleheader, and you're just making out with her.
We kissed a couple times, and then I had to get back.
So weird. So, like,
I had to get back for the late local.
Conversation with you was always awkward. How was it with a girl that you had never met on a picnic table at a state park?
I think I walked up and said, "Hey, want to kiss?" No, I don't know what I said.
I mean, I imagine she was very comfortable with everything, considering she's the type of girl to meet a stranger at a state park.
No, I'm not Jimmy Bundy. She didn't go missing.
Boy, that's a hard charger right there.
Yeah. Another girl called the station, early 90s again. It was a one-off date. She was obsessed with Friends and Jennifer Aniston, and like had a matching anytime Jennifer Aniston she said anytime Jennifer changes called her by her first name, red flag.
Yeah.
Anytime Jennifer changes her haircut on the show, I change to match.
Let me guess, so that she couldn't change her face and body to match Jennifer Aniston, though, right?
No.
Did she look anything like her?
No, not even the hair, really.
And did you go out with her?
We met one time at, what's the name of that place? It's right behind Piggly Wiggly in Homewood, in that little, where there's a dry cleaners now.
Yeah, Hunter's Dry Cleaners, I think.
There was a restaurant there for a while that I would go eat at all the time between the news, 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock news. And
so that's a regular spot. You took some rando that you had never met to your regular spot?
I met her there. So I said, meet me. I go to this place to have a Diet Coke and, quick grilled chicken salad.
So both of these stalkers, after one encounter, both disappear?
I wouldn't use the word disappear. That does sound very Ted Bundy-like. I never saw them again.
Is this geocaching again?
Did anyone else see them?
Yeah, like we know you have an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
But
No. These were real people, real encounters. But I've never had a stalker, which is how we got into the conversation, LT. You ever have a stalker?
No.
So never?
Never.
Tyler, you're young. You ever had a stalker?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
That would be miserable. I thought you brought up a really good point. We were talking to Clay Travis on Tuesday about Jaws being the most influential. You were out, or you were working back cameras.
Yeah, I was back on the switcher.
But do you agree with that? I think it is the most influential as far as like how people, maybe how it affects their day-to-day when they're at the beach. How about that?
Absolutely. It's not just influential in the sense that people were afraid to get in the water after that, but also that created the summer blockbuster. So it's influential in the industry sense,
I also agree with Dunaway. One of the more influential films of our generation was Fatal Attraction. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a really good movie. But, boy, guys thought twice about having that affair and getting on the wrong side of a crazy.
Yeah. By the way, Charles says the bigger question now is not the restraining order against this lady by Aaron Donald, is how many restraining orders does Jim have against him? None that I know of. But, there's probably a couple people in my past that probably could have used one. Jason says, how does it impact the show's history, how it's remembered, if it turns out Jim is actually a serial killer and just let the cat out of the bag?
You never really see the serial killer coming. John Wayne Gacy was a clown, right? Was around kids all the time. Ted Bundy was the charismatic, really intelligent guy.
And so the cover-up of my serial killing is that I've always been on local TV and local radio.
The only thing I would say about
you're out covering events. We travel all around.
That's a great plot for a movie here.
Well,
a series.
and
we should write this.
I'm being serious here. You're by yourself a lot.
I am.
So your alibi would be really weak.
Or strong.
Or strong. Because you can always cross-reference where he's at with who's playing that day.
Yeah, but how would it be strong if you're out doing stuff by yourself?
But you know where I am all the time.
I don't. I have no idea. I assume you're on a golf course.
Well, you know that I'm here from about 7-ish to noon every day.
No, but I'm talking about outside of that. There's plenty of hours outside of that.
I know, but...
You could have a storage unit somewhere we don't know about.
I do have a storage unit. I'm starting to doubt myself all of a sudden.
Is it like a Dexter storage unit? What's going on?
I would think the only thing, you don't have violent tendencies, though.
I don't. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Hence why I would meet anybody in the early 90s at Oak Mountain State Park.
So I do have to ask you this. There was a website that they were also talking about, the geocaching, and it was something where you could go online and you could meet up with other people or groups, and you were like a voyeur, and you would see like crazy stuff, and it started with an O. Do you know what I'm talking about? Some crazy ass website.
Gosh.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Dunaway?
I have no idea.
But it was like really big for Tyler, a little bit older's generation.
I don't remember it.
Omegle?
I think that might be it.
That was kind of like chat roulette.
Yeah, but like there was crazy stuff going on.
Oh yeah. There were a lot of
like S&M.
I didn't see any of that. If you do go on there and you scroll for like 2 minutes, you'll see just a lot of below the waist camera shots.
See, these are things I never knew existed.
Yeah.
This is why I doubt myself as a parent.
Everyone in the chat rooms now, if Jim had invented Tinder, there would be a dislike button and an button. There'd be no like button.
Were you ever? I guess
you swipe.
The button just saves them for later. Maybe.
God, I would. I'm glad you're happily married, but I would love if you were single and you were on a dating app. 'Cause it would just be so amazing to see you cut these people apart and who you would match up with.
I think that would have been really a good segment, more than Tyler's. We wanted to do Tyler this summer, but I don't know how committed he is now. But
you know what's ironic is we've got somebody coming up, a potential client at noon that has a dating site that we're talking about.
Oh, wow.
So maybe we need to get you involved. I mean, you probably have some good ideas, right?
Sadly, Maggie may say, yeah, go for it.
She'd rent you out for a little bit.
Yeah, all right. If you get money for the live reads, go for it.
Yeah, hey,
she'd be all about it. All right, we'll get to our four downs coming up on the other side. That part of the show brought to you by our friends at New York Butcher Shop. Tell us about New York Butcher.
Hey, go see Jim, his great staff of butchers. 2 locations: the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. The fresh meats, specialty items, catering options available. Everything made fresh in house right there. Fantastic selection of fine wines and desserts. One-stop dinner shop, rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
And our friends at New Life Art, man, great moments in sports histories. Hang it in the sports room or the Louvre, wherever you want to hang them. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, promo code TNR. That is the legend Nick Saban. He's not only a legend, but that's the name of the painting as well, for his 6 national championships in Tuscaloosa. Check it out online, DanielMooreArt.com. And all the great pieces of work throughout the years, you can go back and find one that you would like to add to your collection. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at ScottForresterTV.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you: Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
When you crave activity like we do, you belong in the Roback family. Get the best golf wear, hoodies, and activewear for men and women at Roback.com. Use promo code TNR20 to get 20% off your order. That's Roback.com, promo code TNR20.
Looking to expand your business? Let the Next Round help you. Contact us, sales@nextroundlive.com, and be part of the team. Advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platforms. The Next Round can take your business to the next level. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, while reaching the most desirable audience for your business. Get more information by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to build a plan to take your business to the next level using the Next Round.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com. Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
I mean, you have to admit, there are worse premises of things that are a success on Netflix and other streaming services.
Look, I think this is a great premise. Again, and it got me thinking, and I got a bunch of texts that were like, damn, do you think Dunaway could be a serial killer? My only thing is, I think you would have poisoned me by now. For sure.
Well, I did when you were bleeding earlier. I texted Brown. I said it took less than 1 hour, and we had bloodshed between LT and me in the studio today.
I did have a lot of blood.
You did. I mean, it looked like a crime scene in here for a second, just with a finger injury.
No, but I think, and see, Jeeves doesn't know our relationship enough. He knows just a little bit. I think Forrester would agree. Forrester, would he have poisoned me by now if he was a serial killer?
No comment.
Yeah. There you go.
That's one way to get you fired.
Man, you're not on the witness list. I mean, I got a better chance calling Nick Pringle in my defense than I do you, Forrester. Jeez.
So do you remember these girls' names you randomly met?
I do not.
I wonder how many Jane Does we have missing throughout the years.
But think about it. Local sportscaster married to a pastor.
Oh, yeah.
Travels the country, serial killer. I mean, that checks a lot of boxes.
Now, could Maggie be in on this because she becomes a pastor to kind of camouflage everything a little bit more?
Wow. I mean, you're writing the screenplay, whatever you want to make
She absolves you of your sins every time.
4 downs in just a second.
Yeah. What does y'all's confessional look like?
That's a good one. That's a good addition, man. That's a good addition. That's a whole segment.
By the way, 4 downs coming up.
Episode 2, You Are Forgiven. That's the name of that episode. Episode 2, You Are Forgiven.
I walked in there and Taylor's like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah.
She hadn't even heard the 4 downs. Like, I don't even understand some of the 4 downs questions that are coming.
Me too. And before we get to that, our friends at the Regions Tradition were there next week. The Legends of Golf returning to Birmingham. It's the Regions Tradition presented by Coca-Cola at Greystone. May 14th through the 18th. See some of the golf's greatest names in history. Ernie Els is there. John Daly's back. So is Stuart Sink. They compete for one of golf's most prestigious titles. It's a major 4 days of thrilling shots, unforgettable moments, and world-class golf, all in support of local charities. The Regions Tradition, presented by Coca-Cola. Get your tickets now, regionstradition.com.
First down.
David Attenborough turns 99 today. He's best known for the Planet Earth documentaries and stuff like that. So what's your favorite nature documentary? Or just your favorite animal to watch videos of?
So I saw that, was it the Serengeti? I think they did it, it was more of a television event. It was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. You could get it on demand. I think it was on Animal Planet. But just watching all of the amazing animals in Africa. And our friend Dr. Jen Michelson, she started to go yearly. She goes on one of these safaris. And it's kind of the glamping that you did, I guess, in Arizona.
Right.
But they do it there in the Serengeti, and it sounds absolutely amazing.
I used to like watching the penguins, but then that got overdone.
I hated the March of the Penguins. I thought it was so overrated. The Morgan Freeman voiced over documentary.
I liked March of the Penguins.
Yeah.
I love the penguins at the aquarium. I don't know if you've been over to the Georgia Aquarium.
I haven't been to the Georgia one yet. My family has gone twice, and I have not made the trip.
You're out dismembering bodies.
I have not made the trip.
Of course he hasn't. We're gonna start this timeline. I'm gonna keep a secret little black book on this side. They went not once but twice to the Georgia Aquarium. I just couldn't find the time to do it.
I was told last night that part of my vacation coming up in 2 weeks, the back end of it, I'm supposed to go, or at least scheduled to go to the family part of it after I go on a golf trip for the first part. I was going to leave the golf trip and go up to the Charlotte area for Maggie's side of the family. They're doing something up there, and Maggie let me know last night that I did not have to go to that part. I could choose to come back home for the back half of my vacation there. And I was like...
But did she wink? I got your alibi if you want to say you were here.
I'm like, is she setting me up to make the wrong choice here and her be mad at me? Or does she really not want me to go to this thing? I don't know how to read that. So got to get more details on that. But I may be, a couple of days at home on the back end of my vacation.
Second down.
All right, so second down, the rapper 6ix9ine, also known as Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Great tattoos, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got the giant 69 on his forehead. It's a great look. He turns 29 today. So who's the first famous person that you saw and thought, how? How are they famous? How are they successful?
I mean, where do we start? I mean, a guy there was a time when the Situation from Jersey Shore made more annually than Nick Saban. We brought that up multiple times on this show. I mean, there are so many, and it more so, and this comes out every day, and I know you do 4 downs when I'm not doing them, Tyler, when you pull celebrities' birthdays, and trust me on this, so what is today? May 8th. Just Google May 8th celebrity birthdays, and it's by Q rating, but the first 20, 25 are all YouTube stars and social media stars. I don't know any of these people at all. And so they're all making millions and millions of dollars, and I don't understand it. It was a local sportscaster, right? And you were like, if he can do sports,
no, I mean, but
he
wasn't famous. I saw Britney Spears in person, but she was a good singer. So I was disappointed in her looks when I saw her the first time. And I think
wait, where did you see her?
The Daytona 500. She sang.
Yeah, but she's supposed to be beat up and weathered for the Daytona 500. Have you looked around the crowd?
This was her prime, and this was her prime because it was the 90s, early 2000s when I figured what exact year it was. But her face was just eaten up with acne around the mouth and chin covered up with makeup. And I've told this story on the air before.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I've just heard you say that there's 90% of girls or whatever look better than Britney Spears.
Yeah, because I've seen Britney in person.
Wait, she might have I don't know if you know this. Like, I've seen almost every female I know has had a bad day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. But I don't only catch these people on bad days. I respect her music, but I thought her looks were way overrated, Britney Spears. So I would go, how are people so crazy about this
Jane
girl's
Doe
looks?
1 on the picnic table, Oak Mountain State Park, look better than Britney?
No. She didn't have an acne problem, though.
She might have had a kickstand you didn't know about, though, right?
I checked that.
Third down.
I checked that. That was in the middle of the crying game days, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That was a hot summer release.
Third down.
This is the one that I have no idea where you're going, what this means.
So Robert Johnson was a famous blues musician. He would have been 114 today. He was known as the king of Mississippi Delta blues, but he is probably best known for being the first American musician to have the rumors around him that he sold his soul.
Is this the movie way back then? I think it was called Crossroads with Ralph Macchio, and
it might be because Crossroad Blues is one of Robert Johnson's biggest songs, and it goes along with the legend that
Stevie Ray Vaughan maybe was in this.
So he sold his soul. What do you mean now?
So the rumor is that Robert Johnson went to the Crossroads and met a man in a pinstripe suit and sold him his soul in exchange for guitar talent. And then Robert Johnson went on to become known as the king of Mississippi Delta blues and died at the age of 27. So, growing up, what was the biggest scary urban legend around a famous person? Whether it's
the Richard Gere hamster scared me to death.
I just put the same thing in the chat.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was a gerbil, not a hamster.
Oh, it was a gerbil?
It was a gerbil.
Yeah. I remember hearing that, yeah.
That was just somebody that didn't like Richard Gere, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any factual basis.
Is that even a factual thing? Like, I've talked to EMTs and people that work in ERs, and they say there's some crazy stuff that they have to remove. But the gerbil.
So my dad is a critical care nurse and has been for over 20 years. And
man, the things we don't know about you, Jeeves.
And he has said that he has seen a guy come into the ER with that exact problem.
With a gerbil?
With a gerbil.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Man, just getting uncomfortable talking about this.
Yeah.
That would be the one urban legend that jumps out to me. Local urban legends. Remember there was supposed to be that place that was called Mad Dog around here? The backwoods place where there was devil worshippers, like in Pelham?
Yeah, it's...
Is it still there? Is that
I-
where you take your bodies? I don't... Man, we are giving way too much up.
I would tell you that there was a place out near which is Pelham Helena. I don't know if it's Pelham technically, but there used to be a swimming area called Cherokee Bend, and it was out that way too. And I was always told, make sure you turn left to go to Cherokee Bend, because if you turn right out that dirt road is where devil worshippers meet. And so that always scared me. I'd never like riding at night on a country road in the woods. Like,
have you ever gotten stuck out in the middle?
No. But like back in the day, if you're from the country, back in the day, you would go parking in crazy places sometimes. Parking for your old school folks out there, or not old school folks out there, is when you didn't have a place when you were in high school or maybe even college where you could go make out, and you would do it in the back of your car. You just go somewhere. And I remember in college, Montevallo, my roommate would never leave the room, and this girl's girl would never, her roommates would never leave. So we went riding out on, I'm sure it was U.S. Steel property out near the Cabo River. And I thought to myself, driving her Toyota Tercel out there.
Is this what you called prep work?
I just thought to myself when we got out there near the slab where you could cross, I was like, my God, I don't have a gun on me. She doesn't have a gun on her. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, and it's anything could happen. And I was always fearful of riding up onto devil worshippers having a meeting, or any other people having a meeting burning stuff. It was always a fear of mine riding out there, because you'd always heard these urban legends.
Yeah, well, Montevallo is pretty spooky. That campus is haunted.
It is, but it's not that scary.
Is that like an urban legend?
Yeah, there's one.
It was used as a hospital during the Civil War.
Yeah, there's one building, the Kings something.
Yeah, I don't think you can go a lot of places around the South where you probably haven't seen a dead body or two, right?
Yeah, there's a lot buried in places.
I saw this video of a 112-year-old crocodile. Have you seen this yet? It looks like a dinosaur.
No, I haven't seen that.
But I was just thinking, in 112 years, how many bodies has that crocodile eaten?
A lot, I would think, yeah.
Fourth down.
Alrighty, fourth down. Today in history is Victory in Europe Day, also known as VE Day. So what's your favorite World War II movie?
For me, Band of Brothers was a great series, but Saving Private Ryan. My favorite war movie is Apocalypse Now, which is obviously the Vietnam War. But my favorite World War II would have to be Saving Private Ryan.
Mine was as a kid, it was a Bridge something too far. I don't think it's a Bridge
Too Far.
Is that one?
Bridge over River Kwai.
That's the one.
Okay.
Bridge over River Kwai. I really enjoyed that one. And I assume it wasn't World War II, though. Was that Vietnam?
No, that might have been World War I, actually.
Yeah. This was a World War II movie I was thinking about.
Tora was World War II.
I enjoyed Tora as a kid. That was one of my favorite ones.
See, I really like war films, like Westerns.
Well, we designed them to always win, so that was always good, right? It was, for a most part of American cinema in war movies, the Americans were the good guys, and we always won the battles.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting take on World War II. Letters from Iwo Jima that Clint Eastwood did. Flags of Our Fathers, not nearly as good as Letters from Iwo Jima. Have you seen that?
I've never seen it,
really,
but
really
I know
good.
what you're talking about. He said Watt says Battleground, Volfan 205, Patton, Scott from the back row with a microphone and Glorious Bastards.
I don't control that mic.
Yeah.
That was the historically accurate one, right?
Inglorious Bastards is great.
Yeah. Morgan likes Patton as well. Daniel's The Darkest Hour.
I still
Flags
haven't
of Our
seen
Fathers, AK.
I want to see The Darkest Hour. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah. All really good.
Fury is also really good. With,
Fury
Brad
is
Pitt.
good with John Bernthal and Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf.
Michael Pena, I think, is also in it.
Pena's in it.
That's our 4 downs today. Lags bringing you part of the conversation today. A great place to wake up the echoes there, LT.
So we are coming up on the lunch hour, and you're trying to decide what you're going to eat. What about going out to Avondale and try out these incredible burgers we've been telling you about at Lags Eatery? Tonight starts the late night shift, too. You can go breakfast all the way to 2 a.m. You work that second or third shift. Get in, see Eric, Justin. Make sure you tell them the next round sent you. The burgers are delicious. The fries, the tots, those bologna sandwiches. This is a throwback. This is, 30 years ago, this was right there on Broadway in Homewood. Both Justin and Eric worked at Lags. They decided to bring it back. Nostalgic restaurant. You're going to absolutely love it. I was in there this past weekend. Stop in, happy hour out on that patio watching the Braves games. Great selection of cold beer and cocktails as well. But get in for lunch, dinner, or late night. It's Lags Eatery.
The College Football Spotlight.
Hey, if you find yourself in need of a lawyer, call Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win your case. They bring you the College Football Spotlight every day. In Alabama, for over 24 years, the firm that has grown to over 150 lawyers and 500 dedicated team members. They'll help you with anything. When you need a lawyer, it's Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. In our Spotlight today, we go to Mississippi State, Starkville, Mississippi. One of my favorite, as you saw my city rankings, SEC towns, one of my favorite places to visit on an SEC weekend. And Mississippi State becomes the 16th and final SEC member to get a football dedicated indoor facility, a new $60 million football facility. It's a donation from Billy W. Howard and Howard Facilities. And it's a huge investment for the new state-of-the-art indoor practice facility there in Starkville, Mississippi. It'll be more than just the indoor practice facility, but a $60 million deal. Put into context, Auburn's last football facility upgrade was about $92 million, so a little less than that. But Mississippi State now coming up. Is Mississippi State the toughest job in the league now in the SEC is my question for the Spotlight.
Probably Vanderbilt still, but if you take Vanderbilt away, I think Mississippi State is the toughest job.
This is being trumpeted as this shows that Mississippi State's not going to be left behind. I think Chris Lowe tweeted that.
I am really fascinated to see what happens with Jeff Lebby. You got a 5-star true freshman quarterback. You've got Chapin. You've got the kid that came in, the Cromanet kid from Florida State. This is a big year just to show improvement, to show that we can compete and not get embarrassed. Mississippi State, say what you want about Dan Mullen, he had it dialed in, and it was a good, solid program.
So if you've got Vandy as your default
and
toughest
Leach.
job, Vandy's your default toughest job, I think I would agree with you. I think Mississippi State in today's landscape is the second toughest job in the SEC.
It should be better than Kentucky, just because, I just always view Kentucky as we're just going to go all in on basketball.
So would you go Kentucky next after Vandy and Mississippi State?
Yeah, like if
more than Missouri?
I was going to say, if you would have asked me this question 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whenever we had the expansion, the initial, I'd have been like, Missouri's got no shot in football. But Missouri has been so much better than advertised at football coming into this league. Missouri, Mississippi State, Missouri, Kentucky, it hadn't even been close. Missouri's been that much better. So, yeah, I would go Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Kentucky.
Ross says definitely better football support than Kentucky. And I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those Mississippi State fans, we trumpet South Carolina fans because they're always packing the stadium for a bad product. Those Mississippi State fans, they show up.
Yeah,
they show up.
No doubt. I mean, look, I don't question any of the passion of the fan bases in football outside of Vanderbilt.
Well, if I told you,
and maybe Kentucky.
If I told you 5 worst jobs in the SEC, it's hard to come up with 5. The 5 worst jobs.
Mississippi State, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, probably Arkansas now, and South Carolina.
Wow, you're putting Arkansas and South Carolina in there.
Probably. I mean, look, if we're going next year, you'd have to go Auburn. Auburn, Missouri. I mean, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, Florida, Oklahoma. Those are better jobs, right? I mean, Ole Miss, Auburn.
I'm not asking better jobs. I'm asking better programs, like not right now, this moment in time, but just the toughest jobs to win on a consistent basis. Vandy's always there. I think Mississippi State's always there. I think Kentucky's always there. Now, finding the other two is hard.
I think it's safe to say with no divisions, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
And the other two are hard.
South Carolina.
Okay.
Missouri. I'm telling you, how about this? Teams that will never win an SEC championship. Mississippi State, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Missouri, South Carolina. I'm not prepared to say, I think Auburn, Oklahoma, Florida.
Funny, all of those people, other than Vanderbilt, have played for a couple of multiple times.
Yeah, like A&M, Ole Miss. We hadn't seen that.
Yep, absolutely.
But it just seems like those programs are in a much better spot than some of the other ones.
That's our Spotlight today, brought to you by our buddy Alexander Shunnarah. If you find yourself in need of a lawyer, call Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win the case. And I do like this about Alabama, and I mentioned this yesterday, they're showing up for a lot of big-name recruits. They may not get any of them, but they're the finalists for these. One of them is the 6'5" wide receiver in Alex City, number 2 receiver in the class and one of the best recruits in 2026. Sadarian Morgan will make his announcement on July the 2nd. That's his announcement date coming up, July 2nd. Auburn, so close to Auburn there in Alex City. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Clemson, and Colorado, his 6 finalists. For Sadarian Morgan, one of the best wide receivers in the country, making his announcement coming up on July the 2nd. And then here's where I feel like maybe Alabama's just on the logo, on there just for the, I'm going to pick this school over Alabama. Roman Voss is a 4-star athlete, the best recruit in the state of Minnesota. I don't know how far up the ladder he is as far as the recruit nationally, but he's a 4-star guy, and he's going to make his announcement coming up, and he's down to Minnesota and Alabama. He's a Minnesota kid.
Okay, so, 5 years ago, you would have said, okay, there's a possibility he goes to Minnesota and PJ Fleck's able to keep him in state because he grew up a Gopher. But now, Minnesota's probably going to do everything they can to give him as much NIL as possible. And again, I go back to saying that some of these schools, they've got a number per position, and they're not going to go any higher. I think Minnesota would continue to bid to keep this kid. I think ultimately he goes to Minnesota.
Yeah, I think he does too. I think you put Alabama on there to make it look like Minnesota beat Alabama in a recruiting battle. But we'll see. All that recruiting coming up as you work your way towards signing day in December of 2026. We're 107 days away from college football. When we come back, I'm going to ask LT who has a chance to be the comeback coach of the year in college football. I'll give him the commercial break to think about this. If I said who is the comeback coach of the year in college football, we'll run through a couple of guys who will be candidates, and he'll crown the comeback coach of the year coming up on the other side. The show being brought to you by our friends at Gutter Cap. A chance to cap those gutters one last time.
Yeah, we had a good friend I talked to last night had C-Stu come out on Monday to give him that absolutely free estimate, because talking to this guy, he's like, there is no chance I'm getting the ladder out, getting on the roof, cleaning the gutters out. It's dirty. It's dangerous. You have to do it every single year. Guess what? You get the gutter cap. You never, ever will have to clean the gutters again. It's a patent aluminum cover system. Fits over most existing gutters. It will keep everything out outside of the water. Keep the gutters clean and free-flowing. The answer is Gutter Cap. Call for the absolutely free estimate. Chris Stewart, tell him the next round sent you, 205-823-2212. When you mention the next round, great special. For more information, guttercapbirmingham.com.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation state that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Hey, Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Do you need some refreshed college wear to represent your team this year? Shop Roback's Game Day collection that includes both Alabama and Auburn. From quarter zips to hoodies, Roback has it all. Get 20% off on us using code TNR20 at roback.com.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
No matter the occasion, the Next Round store has you covered with whatever you need. Head over to nextround.store and start filling your cart up now. When you wear your gear, make sure to let us know by posting on socials, and you might just end up seeing yourself during a commercial break. Go browse now at nextround.store and place your order before the break ends.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on The Next Round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at The Next Round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000.
It's time to pull the trigger on the Next Round merch that you've been eyeing. We know there's a lot to choose from at nextround.store, so here's a few of our favorite picks. If you want to match LT and Brown, go with the TNR logo hoodie and throw in one of Dunaway's favorite hats. Any of them will do. The Backroom's go-to is the classic logo t-shirt, while my personal favorite is the light blue TNR crew neck. All of these items can be found at nextround.store and are EG approved. Rest assured, your order will be packed with lots of love from us here at the Next Round. Head over to nextround.store to start filling up your cart.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Two big stories we talked about earlier in the show. Nick Saban, one step closer to becoming the commissioner of college football. He'll head up a presidential commission, a presidential council commission, to look into college athletics and the spending and NIL and all the revenue sharing and stuff that's in the future. That from President Donald Trump, with Nick Saban being one of the head chairs of that. And then, of course, a scheduling note from our friends at Yay Alabama, breaking the news today that Alabama basketball is working towards scheduling a game at Madison Square Garden coming up in November against Rick Pitino and St. John's. So Nate Oates and Rick Pitino face-to-face at the Garden in New York. All that, some of the developing stories today being brought to you by our friends at Champy's. Champy's brings you the final hour of the show. They have since day one of the next round, and they've done it for 948 shows. Sterling and the crew right there at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Stop by and see Sterling and see what he does best, and that's cook the best fried chicken you'll ever taste. A lot of Champy's in the southeastern region of the country in our viewing area, but there's only one owned by Sterling, and it's right there for over a decade at the location on Highway 119, and Sterling makes sure that you're getting unbelievable customer service. He brines the chicken overnight. He cooks it to order. And don't forget the hand-cut chicken fingers and the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. It is so consistent. It is Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com. I asked you the question going to the top of the hour, so let's talk about it right here. Who is in the running, you think, for comeback coach of the year in college football this year? And I would say not come back from like an injury like we get in the NFL, but this is a guy who has gone away, that comes back and has a chance to maybe rebuild his legacy, his stature, and maybe get back into the championship conversation.
I start with three guys out of the SEC, and three guys I had, and we did the 40 and 40. I sent you mine yesterday, all three guys in the top 25. I'll start with the Auburn Tigers. I think Auburn is going to sneak into the top 25 if a game or two breaks their way and they somehow were to win 10 games and they were to get to a college football playoff. Hugh Freeze could be that guy.
So Hugh Freeze as comeback coach of the year nationally.
I mean, he's had back-to-back 7-win seasons.
Yep.
Or 7-loss seasons.
And he sort of was the talk of, what he did at Liberty before he got into that final year that led to the Auburn job. But the year before that at Liberty, he was on the national radar for the job he was doing at Liberty.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a really special season. I think it would have to be getting to the college football playoff. And the other guy in that same realm is Brent Venables at Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to be much improved. If they were to win 10 games, if they were to get to a college football playoff, I think Venables could be that guy, and especially with the Oklahoma brand behind him. But I think more likely for me, and I think you're high on this as well, Brian Kelly and LSU.
Brian Kelly and LSU. I had three names written down, and Brian Kelly at LSU was second on my list because if you went back 10 years and you named the 5 best coaches in college football, he was one of them.
I still think he is.
Yeah.
I know I would be in the minority, and if we did this exercise and a lot of different college football insiders, I don't know how many would have him on that list. I still think he's a borderline top 5 guy, though.
Yeah. But the guy that's number one on my list, and I think you're starting to feel this way, that they're going to be in the playoff contention at some point this year. Lincoln Riley. We for 2 years now, we have poured water on the gas fire at one point that was Lincoln Riley's career. And he took over at USC, and it just hasn't worked yet. And a lot of people, including Josh Payton on our show earlier this week, said he made one bad coaching decision at the defensive coordinator position. He is correcting that now and thinks that
Deanne Lynn is really good. The defense was much improved. They're starting to get the bodies in because Chad Bowden is the GM they went out, they got from Notre Dame. He's starting to assemble this. They're spending a lot of money. Lincoln Riley knows offense. My only problem is I think they're going to be better than their 7-6 last year, but Maeva's just not a quarterback that's going to take over and win games for you. And you've had those guys from Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray to Jalen Hurts to Caleb Williams, and you just don't have that guy.
But do they have to be that? I mean,
not necessarily, but I just don't think they're good enough personnel. I think they're getting better.
Okay.
But I just don't think they're elite enough. Like, a guy like that was, again, not a shot to Blake Sims or Jake Coker, but that's, those guys were able to win because there was so much talent around them as far as winning championships. But Lincoln Riley could be that guy if they catch lightning in a bottle and they have the Indiana type year. I think Matt Rule could be that guy this year.
At Nebraska, another Big Ten team that I have sort of right there battling for that last Big Ten playoff spot.
Yeah, I think they could win 10 games this year. And, again, with that Nebraska brand behind it, would Brett Bielema had really good years at Wisconsin.
Really good years.
But he's coming off
good enough that he would have been in the playoffs if we had an expanded playoffs.
Yes, he would have had multiple Wisconsin teams that went to Rose Bowls. He won a Rose Bowl. Those teams would have been in the college football playoff. But coming off 10 wins, where they're going to be ranked, I don't think they can do enough for him to be a comeback coach of the year. Would you agree? Even if they got to the college football playoff.
Because, I don't know, man. I mean, I know the expectations we're talking about them as a playoff contender, so he would be just meeting expectations. But the fact that he has taken Illinois and has built them into a team that has expectations, if he was able to meet the expectations, I think you would put him. He was never as high as Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, but I think you'd have to put him in the conversation to be comeback coach of the year.
Yeah, I think it would depend on who else is having great seasons, because I think there is a big expectation for Bielema and the Fighting Illini this year. Look, there's a couple of guys in the Big 12 that this could easily happen. Mike Gundy, he's such a polarizing guy, but 0-9 in conference last year. If they were to win the Big 12, look, that's a big jump. He would be that guy. I think Kyle Whittingham, now that Isaac Wilson seems to be maybe that quarterback for Utah, coming off of 5-7, he could be that guy. I think those are the only guys in the Big 12 that could get there.
You know, I thought of this when I saw a story on The Athletic that said Dabo Swinney is back. And then it said, but did he really ever go anywhere? And that's what made me think about comeback coach of the year. And I don't think Dabo could be a candidate for comeback coach of the year, because I think the answer is Dabo never really went anywhere.
He really didn't, but it just seemed like they took that next step, not irrelevant, but never a threat to win a championship. And I think even after winning the ACC and going to a college football playoff last year, if they were to win the national championship, which I think is in play, I think Dabo could be that guy. I think Mike Norvell is another one that you would look at in the ACC.
Yeah, because it was so bad.
It was so bad, 1-7 in conference. I think that's it, though. I don't know another guy in the ACC that could do it. I think that's your list.
Yeah. Comeback coach of the year. I don't even think they have that award. That's one they should start. College football's comeback coach of the year. Probably start in Baton Rouge as the betting favorite and then work your way down, right?
I would think that Brian Kelly would be your betting favorite right now.
All right. We got some important scheduling news from the SEC that looks like there's a reason why the conference would do this, go to 9 games after LT tells us about our buddy Dr. B.
Dr. B, best in the business. You started to thin out, losing a little hair. You want to maintain. You want to grow some back. Write this number down, 205-319-0316. When you call Dr. Beckenstein and that great staff, make sure you tell them the Next Round sent you. They're going to hook you up with an absolutely free consultation. T3hair.net for more information. That non-invasive treatment, I do it 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch. That is it. My hair has more than doubled in thickness. And T3, they've got that new test. It's easy. It's painless. It's affordable. It takes 4 seconds to perform. It's going to show which medicines and compounds will specifically work for your hair loss. Over 10 categories of agents they use, knowing they will work for you. They will custom compound these agents for you in pill or topical forms. You pick and choose which agents you want. Men and women ordering Hims, other products online, don't even know if they work. Stop wasting your money and critical time while you're losing your hair on treatments that aren't working for you. Come see Dr. B and that great staff. Find out what will work for you. 205-319-0316 or T3hair.net.
I'm really full-fledged, knee-deep into college football now because it started last night. Today will be my full day of counting the 40 and 40 ballots from all of our voters.
And you really like that, right?
It's a hand count. I wish there was an easier way to do it, but it's pull up an email, check. It's a hand count. So it took about 90 minutes to do 10 ballots last night. So it'll be the rest of my day and night today.
But you do enjoy it, right?
I do. I get a cocktail last night. It was a nice little bourbon that our buddy Morgan gave me back during basketball season. I sipped a couple of bourbons and had my Bose headsets on, not a sponsor, and sat there and listened to music and started the hand count. It'll be a longer version of that today. Hopefully it'll be a rainy day. I won't feel like I'm missing anything. So we'll have the vote tallied and ready to go for you next Tuesday in our 40 and 40 countdown. As I was doing that, though...
At least all the single women are safe today, right?
That's right. No body count today. As I'm sitting there counting last night, this story broke that ESPN is open to paying millions of dollars to the SEC to go to a 9th conference game. It's not happening this year. Schedules are in place. But it's not going to surprise me now that we know the money behind it, that it'll happen for the 2026 season. Like there will be an announcement soon coming, I think, that the SEC will go to a 9th game. The report has the extra money for a 9th conference game would be between $50 and $80 million
to cut up between all the members.
Cut up between all the members.
So what does that equate to?
Well, if you go to $80 million, that'd be an extra $500,000 per team.
Is that worth it? I mean, you can't get a starting cornerback for $500,000.
But a $500,000 to play one more SEC game. Think about what you're not having to pay now. You're not having to pay anybody to come in and play you.
Got that, but what does it do to future home and homes you've got without a conference opponents?
I don't think it would impact it at all. I think everybody has a one-off game.
So this would be the Mercer that you would just drop.
I think so.
Again, and I hate it for the Mercers of the world, but
yeah. And here's what I want to do, and I'd love to see what SEC people think about this. And I want to hear what you think about this. I would love for us to go to a situation where you're sitting here and not being able to play unless you've got a rivalry that is already in November. I think all November games should be conference games, unless you've got a South Carolina, Clemson,
yes,
Florida State, or Georgia Tech.
I don't disagree.
And those are grandfathered in, but we take out those Mercer games.
It's a glorified bye is all it is.
Yeah, and we get killed.
Oh, nationally.
Yeah.
And, ultimately, I don't know how many people care about that. I care more about being on my couch, looking at that schedule, and you can't navigate good games in the SEC at all on those certain weekends.
Yeah. By the way, my math's right. Horrible math by me. That's $5 million per team,
okay.
not $500,000. $5 million per team.
Okay, $5 million is significant.
Yeah.
So yes, that will be the difference maker. I've always thought they were going to go to 9 games sooner than later, and there were certain coaches like a Nick Saban that was all about the 9-game schedule. There were other coaches that weren't. I don't think, we go back to those difficult jobs. I don't think Jeff Lebby and Mark Stoops and Clark Lee want 9 games.
Yeah. It's inevitable because just for the TV product, we've got to have it so that you don't have those really bad weekends of SEC football anymore. ESPN doesn't want it.
Well, I agree for that.
We tried to fix it.
But, we talked about more conference expansion yesterday. Brown was talking about, next would maybe be North Carolina, Virginia, kind of that footprint. And if you do continue to expand these conferences, the only way you're going to play these other teams is you expand the conference schedule.
That's right. I mean, the conferences are so big. 9 games get you around there faster. The SEC has a good plan now at 8 on playing everybody faster, but 9 would be a better plan. And it's that extra game that you don't have. I hate to keep piling on Mercer, but Mercer or, Louisiana Monroe or those games like that, I don't think that has much interest for fans anymore.
So right now, Big 12, the Big 10, they both play 9.
They do, and the ACC and the SEC
are the 8.
Are at 8.
Yeah.
I think both will go to 9.
And look, it hadn't affected the Big 10 going to 9, right?
It has not.
I mean, you had 4 teams in the playoff last year.
I think a lot of people would say their bottom is not as tough as the SEC's middle and bottom.
On last year's bottom, your bottom 3, Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue. Back to the bottom of the SEC, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. SEC's bottom's better.
Usually seems that way. Seems that way to me. One more college football thing. Josh Pate talked to Steve Sarkisian as Pate continues his Pate State tour, talking to coaches on campus. And Sark defended Quinn Ewers' decision to enter the NFL draft. He made the point that we kill, not him, but college football fans kill players for leaving one school and transferring to another school for money. And he said, here's a guy who decided, okay, I've left a great legacy at Texas. I don't want to play anymore in college for a different team. So I'm going to go pursue my job in the NFL. And he said, I don't understand now. Those people that criticize kids for jumping from one school to another school for money are now the same people that are criticizing Quinn Ewers, saying he shouldn't have gone to the NFL, that he should have gone to another school for money.
That's what we do. And I'm one of those too. I just think
he's right. He's right.
He is right. But I think it was in the best interest of Quinn Ewers. If you weren't going to be the quarterback at Texas, are you really going to remember Quinn Ewers as a Texas guy? I mean, you'll remember him as a Texas quarterback, but what were the accomplishments?
They won a Big 12 championship.
They won a Big 12 championship, the last Big 12 championship. I thought he was a really good quarterback, but in his best interest, I thought, was coming back, making more money, playing for whoever next year, being a starting quarterback than he's going to make this year if he's lucky enough to make a roster. And then he could maybe position himself to be in a much better spot to go, in the first, second, third, fourth round.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'm going to say this, and you can say it's Jimmy Alabama making this comment. Quinn Ewers' career highlight was winning in Tuscaloosa. That was
maybe. I mean,
that was
some of
his
those
biggest
throws.
win?
I mean, we had him on set last year in Dallas for SEC Media Days, and we were talking about that second half and those fourth quarter throws. And, that was really, really good, Quinn Ewers.
Because they made it to the semifinals last year in the playoffs, right? But they didn't win it in Atlanta.
And they were lucky. I mean, they should have lost to Arizona State. I mean, they were dead and buried in that game. But Ewers made some incredible throws in late fourth and in overtime to actually win that game for them. If I asked you right now, though, and I know fan bases, because this is such a hypothetical that, everybody's going to go with their quarterback. But how many teams would Quinn Ewers start for in the SEC this year?
Oh, off the top of my head, I think definitely over half.
Oh, my gosh. I think he might start for every team in the SEC.
Well, I was just starting with definitely over half.
I mean, he started over Arch last year. We know that deal was made, behind the scenes where, Arch was going to be the quarterback this year, so Quinn didn't have an opportunity and wasn't going to be welcomed back necessarily at Texas. But he starts at Georgia, Tennessee, I think Alabama, LSU, South Carolina. Those are dicey. I think he starts at A&M. I think he starts at Ole Miss. I think he starts at Missouri, Florida, dicey, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Auburn, Kentucky, Mississippi State. He starts at all those places. Not Oklahoma. I think Mateer's better.
In South Carolina.
We're close. Yeah, South Carolina, I said.
Yeah.
But I think he starts for 10 teams plus.
See, I, again, don't want to speak for Alabama fans.
I mean, as an Alabama fan.
Sight unseen, Ty Simpson over Quinn Ewers. There was something about Ewers I didn't like when he was the quarterback. I respect him. Nice guy. And he made some unbelievable NFL throws.
There were some inconsistencies, nothing like Jalen Milroe. Of course, we've never seen any inconsistencies like that.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely. DB King says they should have an SEC Big Ten challenge back to the scheduling thing. Don't be surprised if that's not in the works, because we have discussed that before, DB King, where you have the opportunity to create an SEC Big Ten challenge, which would be out of the footprint of the current TV contracts, and then you'd be dividing it up between either a streaming service or your other TV partners that are not Fox or not ESPN, ABC, or splitting it between Fox and ESPN and ABC where you can create more money.
What do you think that schedule? Let's just hypothetically take Alabama here. Let's say they're playing a 9-game SEC schedule and we've got a Big Ten challenge, and they've randomly got Nebraska. It'd be kind of fun, right? 9-game SEC schedule, Alabama playing in Lincoln. What do the other 2 games look like?
Well, I mean,
because we are trying to clear. For me, I don't want to see any more Mercer.
Well, but you pick out any future schedule for Alabama, and you've got two FBS teams, one power conference, and usually a group of 5 on there.
So here's what you've got right now. Let's just go with this schedule. Eastern Illinois would be out, right?
Right.
For the 9th game in the SEC. Then you've got Wisconsin. We'll just make that your Big Ten. La Monroe and Florida State. Do you keep Florida State?
Yeah. I think that's where we're headed, is that we're going to get these automatic bids for the conferences, and I don't want to say the out-of-conference record doesn't matter, but I think we're going to get to the point where the out-of-conference record doesn't matter except for your wild cards.
We talked about brutal. Like Florida and Oklahoma schedules last year were brutal. Alabama's got a really, really difficult schedule this year. But we start to move in this direction where you're really only under that scenario, La Monroe is your only layup.
Right.
And then sometimes you're going to catch one of these Group 5s that is having really, really good year.
I truly believe that we're going to go to where we get automatic regardless of your record, there will be 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams in the playoffs. And basically, it's just about winning those conference games at that point. Does that take away the excitement of playing those games?
At that point, does Boise State ever get home and home with any of the big boys? Does Appalachian State? I mean, do you even roll the dice on playing a Group 5 that could potentially, once in 5 years beat you?
I just randomly pulled up Alabama's 2028 schedule. Right now, they've got home game Ohio State in 2028.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yep. And they're at Oklahoma State that year. Now, you keep those two, you throw in 9 conference games.
Wow.
And then the UT Martin Skyhawks for homecoming.
So right now, would you rather see Ohio State in Bryant-Denny, or would you rather go to Stillwater to see that game?
Ohio State and Bryant-Denny.
See, I just randomly would like to go to a stadium that hadn't been to.
That's never been one on my bucket list, though.
You don't like what
Stillwater's a great
what
town,
are the
though.
thunder sticks that they beat on the mats?
The paddles.
Yeah,
they got the fraternity paddles.
It sounds
or
loud.
whatever the paddles are there.
Didn't work out for them last year.
Yeah, that's Oklahoma State's a fun town. Never been to a football game there, but back to the early '90s, dated a girl that moved there from Auburn and made a trip out there. Eskimo Joe's, fun times. Cross Canadian ragweed.
You remember that last name?
I do.
Okay.
I do. All right. One more thing to get to in this segment after LT tells us about our friends at Hemp Hill.
Hemp Hill Services right now offering a great deal. Make sure that HVAC unit ready to keep up with this changing weather. $1,000 off the HVAC units, 0% financing. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Former Patriot Julian Edelman says it is time for Bill Belichick to, what's the old saying? Practice what you preach. He said all he ever talked to us about at New England was no distractions, no distractions, no distractions. Julian Edelman yesterday with Cowherd on Fox Sports Radio said, there is no doubt in my mind the 24-year-old girlfriend has become a distraction. It's time for Belichick to practice what he used to preach to us in the Patriots organization.
No, I don't think there's any doubt that she's a distraction. Look, that stuff can make you crazy. I think it's made a lot of men crazy, but I just didn't think Belichick at his age, and especially, it would be one thing if he was still the Patriots coach with all of the equity that he's built up. But when you're going into year one, and I really think I don't want to say it's going to define his legacy, but there is that contingent of people out there that are saying Belichick was nothing without Brady. And if he falls flat on his face
while dating a 24-year-old girl.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad, lasting look for Bill Belichick. I am shocked that Belichick's in this situation.
I am too. He did pick up he continues to pick up a couple of good portal movements, including yesterday. He picks up a safety in Gregory Smith. He was a Florida safety. He was considered to be the best safety left in the portal, 6'4" guy. He is going to play his football there at North Carolina.
I know this. Look, this is how extreme this is. Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are basically the same person. I think Saban's got a little bit better of a personality.
I agree.
But if Saban was single and was dating a 24-year-old and was bringing her around the facilities, and
he would never have done that.
But you would have said that about Belichick, right?
I would have said that.
Yeah,
about
that's
Belichick.
what I'm saying. That's why
we've always said it was undefeated, though, too.
I get that, but there's other ways to navigate it.
Yeah,
you can still have it around.
His former players, Julian Edelman, calling him out. Practice what you preach. A couple of NFL thoughts.
By the way, Tom Brady coming up. Trash on the table.
Okay, we got trash coming up, and a couple of NFL thoughts, including Tom Brady's most feared players. I never got to that yesterday. We'll do that right before trash on the other side. The show brought to you always by our friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy, and we're at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino studio. They sponsor our studio. We're not actually at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
People think that all the time. Do you get that?
I get that at least once a month.
Oh, all the time.
I was out near the racecourse. I almost stopped by to see you guys.
Yeah, I'll invite somebody up, and they're like, well, how do we get – I haven't been to the racecourse in years. How do I get there?
Yeah, nope, we're not there. Not there at all. But they do sponsor the studio here, but you can go out there and enjoy great gaming, great casino fun at the Birmingham Racecourse and Casino. Always a great time here in Birmingham. Trash is on the other side.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090. Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Hey, you. Days warming up, looking like spring. And at New Balance Birmingham, we've got the thing. What pops and what's fresh? Check the selects. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280, right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
The Legends of Golf return to Birmingham. It's the region's tradition, presented by Coca-Cola at Greystone, May 14th through 18th. See some of golf's greatest names like Ernie Els, John Daly, and Stuart Sink compete for one of golf's most prestigious titles. 4 days of thrilling shots, unforgettable moments, and world-class golf, all in support of local charities. The region's tradition, presented by Coca-Cola. Get your tickets now.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
I'm attorney Alexander Shunnarah, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Okay, now I walk in the back room. Can I get Melton's microphone? Okay, I walk in the back room. I'll need Forrester here as well. Everybody's mic's in the back room. LT, I walk back there, and listen, I try to just produce it's not the wide world of sports. It's a wide-ranging show that I try to produce every day. And I know I put too much sports in the show on a regular basis, and a lot of my analogies are sports-based. But you guys in the chat room have been talking now for about 40 minutes that there's white smoke at the Vatican. I assume that's where the smoke's coming from, the Vatican. And we've got a new pope. I don't know the name yet. Here's a live picture. And I walked back there, and I said to Melton and Forrester, okay, everybody's talking about the smoke. Is there a chance that we have, and this is the phrase I used, of which I got blowback on, is there a chance we have a live camera of the smoke coming out of the Vatican like we do Toomer's Corner? And Melton said,
I said, you are probably the only person on the planet that's made that specific analogy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But there's always that live camera that's looking at Toomer's Corner that when they roll things, we've got a live picture.
But I'll say the passion is just as deep there. Like, Melton, how long are people camping out to watch to see when the smoke's actually going to pour
They're
out?
currently rolling the Vatican. We're watching this live right now. It's epic. I'm sorry. Lance, what was your question? Back to you in the studio. What was your question?
What would the Harvey Updike, what would that be in Vatican terms?
Oh, man. I don't know.
Wow.
Wouldn't that just be Satan?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
A pope being poisoned?
Wow. There is people saying Brown's out today because he's the new pope. That's what they're saying in the chat room.
I don't think Brown wants that responsibility. Who is the new pope? We don't know name?
We haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet. The announcement's coming soon.
Okay.
We just have the 12-team field, LT. We don't know who.
I know it's not John
seed is.
Lithgow. I watched the movie Conclave, so
yeah.
I thought it was good too. By the way,
yeah. Everyone is saying Brown is the pope. We don't need the points. Him screaming that from the Vatican stage there would be crazy. So we'll be watching that a little bit later on. We were also talking about the pressure of the person that's got to create the fire.
Oh, to make sure the smoke's right?
To make sure the smoke is white and not black.
Well, just don't burn plastic and you're fine,
well,
right?
I don't know. What makes
I know how to make black smoke. White smoke, just straight up wood.
And by the way, how big are those birds?
Huge. Those are like the seagulls in Finding Nemo.
Yep.
Mine.
And we're sure that is white smoke.
Yeah, that is white smoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is big news there.
At the beginning of the video, it does look kind of gray.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I think I remember the other. Is this the only twice in the last 25 years? Is that right? But I think I was doing the show. When was the last time we had?
I think we were doing a show. I think this guy's run was about 15 years. 10 to 15.
Because I remember us back then talking about betting odds on who the new pope was going to be.
Yeah, I remember.
2013 Pope Francis was elected after 5 ballots.
Right in the middle of our show.
Pope Francis or Kirby Smart, if we're doing a extended fifth down, who had the better
run?
Last decade?
Kirby Smart.
I mean, I would agree. I'm uneducated on the other, but
my feeling was, and I don't know this to be fact, the most controversial pope we've ever had was this guy, right?
That's the feeling I got. There were a bunch of stories about how he believed X, Y, and Z, and some Catholics didn't like what he believed, and then others did.
Okay, so what was X, Y? Like Kirby, the controversy there is everybody goes 1,000 miles an hour, and everybody's getting cited for reckless driving. That would be the controversy for Kirby, I think.
3 times in 25 years, the Pope is where you got the 25-year number from, and they're telling me it's a canister for the smoke that makes it white. I don't think this is a tradition that dates back since the biblical times. So how did they do it before we had a canister that made the smoke?
I do a lot of fire pit burning.
Yeah.
And it's all white smoke unless you throw the plastics on there, which makes the chemical, the toxic black smoke.
I think they should have made the smoke red back in the day.
I'm sure there's a couple of pit masters who could get called up to the big leagues for this.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've got red smoke at different events, right?
Right.
I mean, we've got gender reveals.
I mean, the red smoke would have been there was probably some religious reason why they want to go white because of Christ or something like that, but
red's a little ominous.
Yeah, red's probably the other side that's in the Pope discussion there. But a nice color, blue, a nice sky blue would have been a nice color.
Vatican City, are they partying the night?
Into the sky.
Yeah. On a sunny day, it would have been tough. All right, Michelson Laser Vision, that look at the live camera right there from Vatican Corner.
Oh, and to see it so clearly. Make the phone call that I made more than 2 decades ago. 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy Toe. The Next Round sent you. She's going to hook you up with that hassle-free consultation. Dr. Mort Michelson, true pioneer, first to perform the LASIK procedure in the state of Alabama way back in 1995. Make the phone call. I made 205-969-8100 or MichelSonLaserVision.com.
NFL stuff. First, Brock Purdy next to get the big contract coming up, and he's going to get paid according to everybody. We don't know exactly the numbers yet. When Brock Purdy gets paid by the 49ers, do you think from that point forward, he's been a boom so far for them, relatively speaking. When he gets paid, will it be a boom or a bust for the Niners?
Man, so they're so difficult. So 8 years, Kyle Shanahan, and I respect Kyle Shanahan. They were a thorn in the side of Sean McVay and the Rams forever. But 8 years he's been the head coach. This is going to blow you away. 4 times in 8 years he's been to the NFC Championship game. The other 4 times, he's missed the playoffs.
So it's either conference championship or miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and 2 of those times he went to a Super Bowl. I think Brock Purdy is good, but let's go back. I thought Garoppolo was almost as good, and Garoppolo got paid. I just think it's more Kyle Shanahan's system.
And plus, John Lynch did a great job with that roster.
Oh, yeah, Lynch is a really good GM.
But that has started to become a little fragmented. He has not been, so dialed in with some of the veterans as they've aged a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think that roster is as good as it used to be.
I don't want to say they've missed their window because you talk about a team that has been decimated by injuries over the last couple of years. It just doesn't seem as good. And, George Kittle had a fantastic year last year, but they paid him a lot of money.
A ton of money.
Yeah.
For his production. I think his production is way down and is only going to continue to trend down.
I think it's going to go down. Again, he had a really, really good year last year, but no Debo. Man, I don't know how good this San Francisco team's going to be. I hope they're not good at all, but back to paying Brock Purdy a lot of money, I think that could ultimately be a mistake.
Me too.
I hope they give him $50 million a year.
I don't know what they'll give him, but I expect it to. I think his better days are behind him as well, mainly because of that roster. The Rams are going to do a veterans mini camp in Hawaii to help raise money there.
You'll love the call I got yesterday. I had no idea.
Yeah.
First to tell me this, Maddie, she was like, hey, look, just hear me out. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, I know you really like Maui, but in June, it's Maui camp. And I was like, Maui camp? And he's like, it's the Rams Maui camp. They're mini camps in June in Maui. I don't like this from the Rams, though. I don't know why they're doing it. It might be a communal thing. It might be a puka thing.
It's a fire of the devastating fires. It's a fundraiser for the state of Hawaii.
Okay, see, I did not see that, and I was like, I just hope that they haven't gotten so extravagant. They've done all these draft videos and, don't want them to be that organization that's like, we're going to go to Hawaii to do our mini camp.
No, they're going there, and there'll be, admission, sponsorships and stuff for the mini camp that will go back to fire relief in the state of Hawaii. Tyreek Hill had his second wrist surgery. Scenes in the hospital here. This was to remove the pins from his first wrist surgery, and he's not shooting us a bird there. He's just waving after the surgery that went well. He's still expected to be ready to go when full camp opens up in July for Miami. He is a guy that this was part of the process. It was going to always be 2 surgeries, one for the pins, one to take the pins out. It is something Mike McDaniel described as a ligament issue. And before we get to trash, Tom Brady yesterday, I teased this a couple times, never got to it, but he was on the Logan Paul podcast, and he named the players that he was scared of to be hit by when he was playing.
Well, I guarantee you 2 are Ravens. The obvious has got to be Ray Lewis and Ed Reed.
Ray Lewis was one. Ed Reed was not on the one he named there.
Was Dwight Freeney on the list?
Was not.
Okay.
Nalati Nagata was on there. And Ndamukong Suh was on there.
Guys that when they land on you and that extra 330 pounds of pressure, yeah, I could see that.
J.J. Watt was on there. And Aaron Donald was on there. Those were the players that scared him to be hit by.
Yeah, well, I see it.
Brady was sacked. Do you know how many times he was sacked in his career?
How many years did he play again? 20?
Oh, 20 plus.
I would say that he was sacked Close to 1,000 times.
Yeah, 565 times. But he was known as a guy who would get rid of the football. But 565 times he got sacked, and he didn't like it when it was Ray Lewis, Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh, J.J. Watt, or Haloti Ngata. That's the Brady Logan Paul. You can see that whole thing on Logan Paul's podcast. That gets us to Trash Today, where Tom Brady's part of it. This hour brought to you by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Go by and see Sterling, the crew down there, for the best fried chicken that you'll ever taste. Hand-cut chicken fingers, the Mississippi Delta recipe, tamales, and so much more. Just off Highway 119 and Highway 31, right in Alabaster. It is Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken.
Bag up, Terry. Put in reverse, Terry. Put in reverse. Oh, Lord, Jesus. Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus. What you doing, Terry?
LT's Trash is presented by Bud Light.
Easy to drink, easy to enjoy, our friends at Bud Light.
White smoke in that video, by the way.
Really?
The Terry video, yeah.
Oh, you did get the white smoke.
Florida man has crashed his Tesla in a roundabout and attempted to blame a fictional girl he claimed to have met at the mall.
Okay.
Now, the dispatch center at the Sumter County Sheriff's Office received a Apple automated message 9:46 p.m. on Tuesday indicating that a silver Tesla had been involved in a crash at a roundabout. A police officer went to investigate the crash and found a witness who described a man who fled the scene on foot after requesting that the witness not call law enforcement. Major red flag, right? Officers soon found 63-year-old Jeffrey Treadwell, who matched the description provided by the witness. When the officer asked about the crash, Treadwell immediately began to blame his, quote, girlfriend, claiming she had been behind the wheel. He said he wasn't sure where she had gone. Quote, she was driving. She took off. A girl I met in the Brownwood Mall, her name was Stacy. Now it appeared Treadwell had been drinking. He suffered lacerations on both of his legs. Officers took Treadwell back to the crash scene, where they saw that the vehicle's driver's side airbag had deployed and the vehicle sustained extensive damages to the doors and locking system. But the problem is, no airbag on the other side. Door hadn't been open on the other side. So that is when they figured out that he was the only one in the vehicle.
Yeah, you probably need to be driving a Chevy if you're going to create a story like this, not a Tesla that's got everything monitored and sending a computer readout somewhere.
There's several cameras on the Tesla.
Yep.
Well, that was dead on, and we missed it by like 2 seconds.
We should have a Tumor's Corner Pope chimney cam that's running nonstop on that camera right there.
Kansas man in jail after dismantling a rare 800-pound historic cannon from a Wichita park. Why do you think he would do this?
Okay, what did he do again?
So he has stole this cannon you see right here and dismantled it from Wichita Park.
He did it because he sees Spanish American on the monument there, and he doesn't think Spanish should be ahead of American. He thinks Americans should be ahead of Spanish.
No, not it. Desperate bid to pay off his drug dealer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gordon Pierce.
Here's an old cannon. Does this cover us?
Gordon Pierce right here said to police that he was being intimidated by a cocaine dealer who claimed Pierce owes him $20,000. Now, afraid for his life, Pierce said he went looking for metal to sell and instead found century-old Spanish-American war cannon, valued piece of Wichita history given to the city in 1900. Pierce revealed to police that he'd been using meth for 20 years, had recently gotten a pound of substance from his dealer but was unable to sell it. He claimed it was stolen from him, but his dealer refused to believe him, allegedly threatened Pierce and his family. Now desperate, Pierce found the cannon in the dark part of the park, decided to steal it. According to the affidavit, he asked a homeless man for help in exchange for meth and a pipe. Two smoked together before trying the theft. Because of the cannon's massive weight, their attempts to lift it into his SUV failed, but he tried to drag it using a chain which snapped repeatedly. Eventually, he managed to haul the cannon to a friend's garage. Now, Pierce used a power saw to cut the cannon in several pieces, storing the largest chunk at a friend's home, according to Fox News. Later gave the pieces to his dealer, believing they would buy him some time, but the dealer labeled him, quote, stupid, and then vowed to kill him. Police tracked Pierce down using road indentations caused by hauling the cannon and found a bag of crystal meth on him during the arrest. Maybe if he wasn't buying meth, he could nickel and dime paying his dealer back.
I think the meth might have impacted his decision-making process.
So this guy left basically a trail of breadcrumbs by indenting the asphalt on the way to his house with this 800-pound cannon.
Wichita police said in an update on the department's Facebook, quote, "This cannon was gifted to the city in 1900, is a priceless fixture in our community." I don't think you're putting this thing back together.
Nope. It's a little underwhelming, though, in that picture, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it really is.
Because you don't have the wheels and the part that makes it look like a cannon. It's just the metal part sitting on top of a granite stone. And really, how priceless were they back in the day? I mean, we had Civil War cannons. We used it in the Spanish-American War. There were a lot of cannons there. Literally a dime a dozen back then, probably.
You ever see the movie Napoleon? Joaquin Phoenix came out.
Nope.
Last year and a half ago. You didn't
see
it?
Not a big Napoleon that era fan.
Anyway, the cannon battles, those were pretty good scenes.
Yeah. But how many, when you would
get hit by a cannonball, it's a problem.
But that's my question, though, because the cannonball didn't explode, though, right?
No, it was just
it was a projectile, like throwing a huge rock. So when I would fire a cannon, which took a lot, how many people would I take out with one cannonball?
Oh, it'd take a wall out if it hit it. I mean, you think about the impact of a metal ball that I don't know what the ball weighed.
For going after people and more for taking out buildings and structures and stuff.
Okay, because I thought I would see
not efficient if you're going for striking a person.
Yeah, I thought I would see cannon and fire and.
No, a horse gets hit in Napoleon by that
blue and
cannon.
gray on opposite sides of our pasture. I thought they were firing cannons at each other occasionally.
Okay, so we've got another TikTok trend that has gone viral, and of course, it's a problem. Dangerous TikTok social media trend has made its way to Connecticut schools. Students are using conductive materials like paper clips or the edge of a pen to short circuit and ignite their Chromebook devices. Boy, we got some idiots out there. Newington Fire Marshal said first responders were called to Newington High School 11 a.m. on Thursday for a report of a Chromebook on fire. The fire was the result of the social media trend. They went on to say, quote, "We were made aware of the TikTok trend that day. Some students were coming up on us on the scene telling us, and administration was also becoming aware at the same time." Now, school districts in Derby and Cromwell reported fires that originated from Chromebooks in their schools. In both incidents, schools had to be evacuated. I don't get this. So the other day, Bethany and Layton were somewhere at the summit, and there's apparently another one of these TikTok trends. So somebody came up behind them and did this scare thing and then asked them for money or something. Forgot what it was, but said it kind of freaked them out.
It would freak me out. I'm not a big fan of people running up on me out in public.
No.
Yeah, that's a good way to get the pepper spray real quick.
It really is.
Or worse.
Bro, the teacher is always targeting us. Who's that from?
That's the TikTok.
Just some TikToker that posted this.
Hey, White Smoke.
Yeah. Did the Chromebook fire announce the new pope?
Apparently easier to make than I thought.
Okay, so Tom Brady did Logan Paul's podcast, the Impulsive podcast. And he said that, quote, he really enjoyed being roasted by world-class comedians for last year's Netflix special, but he called the event a parroting F-up in the interview on Tuesday. He went on to say, quote, "When you're in the moment in that theater that night at the Forum, it was electric. It was crazy. We got done. Everybody was on cloud nine. And I think at that moment, I'll never forget. And then I'll never forget when I talked to my kids the next day. I felt like a stake through my heart," he admitted. Now, Brady, whose divorce was finalized in 2022, but has continued to make headlines, said their kids, Benjamin, 15, and Vivian, 12, were, quote, "understandably very protective of their mom and couldn't fathom why he would willingly let comics make fun of her." This is kind of bad when you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quote, "They're just, what was the point of that? Why did you do that?" he recalled on the podcast. Now, the roast of Tom Brady featured comics such as Kevin Hart and Nikki Glaser making unexpected or expectedly vulgar jokes about his publicized marital split. It was most watched English language TV show on Netflix during its debut week last May with almost 14 million viewers. Brady went on to say, "I really enjoyed the show and the performances were incredible." He acknowledged that the special spawned genuine hurt, meanwhile, seems to confirm prior reports, as a source told People mere days after it aired that Giselle was, quote, "deeply disappointed by the disrespectful portrayal of her family."
It did get very personal.
Well, I mean, Hart joked that she had been banging her karate instructor, right? Or the karate man.
There was a theme. It wasn't just one joke. I think that was a theme throughout the night.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure every comedian there referenced it at least once.
Yeah.
It was entertaining.
It was entertaining
Yeah.
and heavily viewed, and he got paid a lot, I imagine.
Here's the good news. He can afford therapy.
For the kids?
Yeah, and they're probably going to be there, unfortunately.
At some point, they'll be okay with the spotlight and the ridicule because they'll have his money and her money to spend. They'll be like, that childhood wasn't so bad after all. Yeah.
What is the shirt he's wearing? That's not
Chewy's.
No, it's not. The Mexican joint?
No, Chewy Classics.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Scott says it says Cherry.
Ah, Cherry.
That is a random crew neck sweatshirt from Tom Brady.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I thought it was Chewy, the Mexican joint.
No, I thought
it does look like the same font,
Yeah.
especially that C right there.
I see Cherry now, but I thought Chewy was in California was a place where you. How can I take this? Let me say it in the non-coolest way I can, but try to say cool. I thought that's where you take your whip to get them modified and put spinners on them and things like that.
What is the monogram above Cherry here?
Yeah, I can't make that one
Is it
out.
Megan Maroney? Did he borrow Megan Maroney's sweatshirt?
Hey, she's got a new song out with Kenny Chesney that she wrote
Complete
for
banger,
him.
I'm sure, right?
They were on tour together, LT. They're just friends. And
I wouldn't think anything more from Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, Kenny said it was the only time anybody's ever written a song for him or about him or something. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And that's Trash Today, brought to you by
our friends at Bud Light.
Yeah, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Mike Tomlin ends up being the guy that pushed for the George Perkins trade. All the reports coming out. And they say it all started when Pickens started getting all these unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. He got one in Cleveland, followed it up the next week with two unsportsmanlike against the Bengals, got fined against Dallas for having an obscenity on his eye black, and then had an unsportsmanlike conduct in the Dallas game after being fined for the obscenities on the eye black. So in that report right there, 1, 2, 3, 4 unsportsmanlike conduct personal foul penalties and one fine for obscenities, to which Tomlin, even at news conferences last year, was pleading he needs to grow up.
Okay, well, I don't know if he's watched DK Metcalf, but Metcalf is going to do the exact same stuff. And I was just wanting to see Metcalf and Pickens play together to see, heads explode.
Right.
But you went out and you paid Metcalf $30 million a year. I thought it was going to be a nice tandem. But now I think you've got a better opportunity with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. But Pickens has got to get it under control.
Do you think when players leave Pittsburgh, receivers, that they have better success or not better success when they leave?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Antonio Brown obviously had not even close to the success. Who are the receivers I'm looking for here?
Yeah. Adam Schefter has a big tweet out today that lists all the major receivers that have left Pittsburgh.
Was Santonio Holmes on that list?
Yeah, and none of them have had more success after leaving Pittsburgh.
Okay, but let's not forget that those receivers that Schefter probably listed played with Roethlisberger. They weren't playing with Mason Rudolph.
Great point.
So there is a big, big difference. And that's why if you're George Pickens, new setting, you can reset everything. You're playing with one of the better quarterbacks in football in Dak Prescott. So, this Pittsburgh offense is not going to be good.
All right. That's our NFL conversation today, and we've covered a lot of college football. The big story that we hopefully will be talking about in November is an Alabama game with St. John's coming up at Madison Square Garden. Boy, that's about as if I could pair up a game for Alabama next year that I'd want to see pre-conference on the schedule, that's about as great venue, great matchup as I'd want to see, because I just saw Alabama and Duke in the NCAA tournament. And unless you're going to Cameron Indoor.
And what's the date on that, November?
It'll be sometime in November.
Yeah. I mean, look, and the lights are already out in the city. I had an opportunity to go up there last year. If you've never done Christmas or around Christmas time in New York City, it is special. So that's a destination city. Alabama will travel well for that.
Yeah, a chance to get up there at Madison Square Garden to get that. Of course, the Garden right now going crazy over the Knicks. They won last night. They were up 2-0 on Boston. I did see the betting odds for the series pop up on ESPN here, LT, and now it's minus 110 on either side to win the series.
Okay, now that shows me Boston's going to win the series. I thought it would be a little bit more. I said earlier, I think you could get back. I thought it would be like, at this point, Knicks minus 175, Boston plus 150. But minus 110 tells me they will definitely come back and win the series. Now, I said that they were going to sweep the other day, so take that for what it's worth.
Well, I know Portnoy, who's a big Celtics fan, still thinks it's the Celtics in 6, that they win the next 4 games.
I could see that, but I would feel a little more comfortable giving me 7 games.
Yeah, the sweep there. So that's Portnoy, but he's a huge Celtics fan. Tonight we get Golden State battling Minnesota. Game 2, Golden State up 1-0 on the road there. 7:30 TNT. No Steph Curry. Got to play at that, lanceslock.com?
I do have a play at that, yep.
Okay, you can get that at lanceslock.com. The final stat for you today is about Tyrese Halliburton. This season, he is 10 of 11 with shots to tie or take the lead at the end of the game this year, including 3 for 3 in the playoffs.
You know, that's not one of those obviously big market teams. Halliburton has been fantastic. I saw a kid walk into Odie's. He was probably 8 or 9. Halliburton jersey last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets chanted overrated, but you've hit 10 of 11 this year to tie or take the lead at the end of a game.
I think he is fantastic. You know, a lot of people don't know who he is because he played at Iowa State. He plays for the Pacers. He got voted by his peers as the most overrated player in the league.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He hasn't been this year at the end of the games. 10 of 11. You compare that to Jason Tatum's number just in this Knicks Celtics series. All right, lanceslock.com for the play on the one NBA game tonight. The Pennant Grace comes your way at 12:15 today. They'll be talking about the Reds beating the Braves last night and what's next for the Atlanta Braves and maybe some other stuff. And, of course, the Meltdown. Meltdown comes your way live today at 2 o'clock. That includes a mystery box episode today at 2 o'clock. So you'll check in on that. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.